Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto and Hinata hide their strength. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by OpposingForce and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Legend, speech, thoughts, scenario change is listed in the bold italics. Somewhere in the east wing of the Hyuga estate. This day was just like any other day in June. It was warm, the sun was shining ever so finely to the people living under it. Most importantly, all the civilians in Konoha were enjoying this day. Hyuga Hinata, a young girl with short navy blue hair with lavender eyes. The unique thing about them was they had no pupils. As mentioned before, currently she was sitting by her windowsill watching the civilians do their daily routines, whether it was work or morning exercises. The girl was told that most of the civilians weren't worthy of her noble Hyuga clan, who held the strongest ninja bloodline in Konoha. Despite her powerful bloodline, she never felt she was any better than the regular people. She believed that if anyone had the decision of choosing their paths, they would want to have a life like hers, one with a powerful advanced bloodline ability and the social stability. Another reason why she never looked down on people was the fact that she wasn't that strong as a ninja herself. Unfortunately, she was considered a reject in her clan because she was so weak. In a noble clan, being weak was something intolerable. When she stood in a position of being so fragile, who was she to judge others? That was what she kept telling herself. She never considered herself as one who had the potential. She looked down on herself so often that her closer relatives were beginning to worry. Her father and her older cousin Hyuga Niji could see that hidden potential, yet she was always so unconfident of herself. Her ability, the Byakugan that was passed down by the Hyuga bloodline, allowed her to see the enemy's chakra system, Tekkensu, chakra flow in a nearly 360-degree angle of vision. If the user was more advanced, they could use those eyes to read other people's thoughts by simple actions. She hated her eyes. The Byakugan focuses chakra to the eyes, causing your veins to be filled with energy. The blood vessels lump out visibly and her eyes turn into something that was as clear as a mirror. It looked absolutely horrifying. Hinata went over to her mirror, which she did every day, and looked at her lavender eyes. She hated them, she thought, they looked so much different from the other people's eyes. Her father kept telling her that her eyes and the entire Hyuga clan's eyes are unique, but the heiress never believed any of those words. It wasn't uniqueness, it was something that made people fear even more. There were so many times that she wanted to blind herself than to have these objects of vision. After she was blind, she wouldn't have to see these damnable eyes again. However, she could never do it. Something always held her back. The reason was the two pictures on her shelf. Hinata walked to her bookshelf and took a look at the two most treasured pictures she had. One of them was a class picture when she was 5 and the other one was taken on a school trip on the same year. The second one, she was in the picture with a certain blonde-haired boy. The expression she showed on the picture was much different than the look she carried now. Hinata, now 12 turning 13 in several months, frequently looked at these two pictures when she needed reassurance in life. The class photo consisted of the entire class, but there were 8 people that she knew the best. Haruno Sakura, a girl with long pink hair and emerald green eyes. Very attractive nowadays for a 12-year-old, and surprisingly, she had a Sakura fan club at the academy. The members obviously were guys, no matter they were good looking or not. She always rivaled with her former best friend Yamanaka Ino for the love and attention from the number 1 rookie in class, Uchiha Sasuke. She was a girl with high intelligence. It was no surprise when she got one of the top grades in the class. Yamanaka Ino, a blonde-haired girl that had even longer hair than Sakura. She has light blue eyes and was equally or even more attractive than Sakura. Sakura's former best friend, now a rival and a Sasuke fangirl. Those two compete about everything. It was a scary scene to watch. Her grades in school were definitely considerable. In terms of ninja skills, she even excelled Sakura. However, Ino always had a tendency to overdo things. Uchiha Sasuke, the best-looking guy and the best rookie in class, which caught all the girls' attention within the academy. He had raven hair and onyx eyes. Even the younger and older kids adore him. He had a fan club against his own will. Hinata really pitied him for this kind of suffering. He was very strong in all aspects in the academy, from book smarts to ninja techniques. Pretty cold to many people. Probably the reason that his cooperation skills was nearly at the end of the food chain. Reason of his coldness was directed to his fan club that he didn't want to have in the first place. But he was kind to Hinata since she was the only person who never bothered him. Naro Shikamaru, a average-looking guy with a ponytail and black hair. He complained about almost everything in life, which somewhat bugged Hinata when she heard him speak that way. He was very lazy and didn't get the greatest marks in class since he believed it was too troublesome to even move a pencil. He only got motivated if he really had to, which was real troublesome to him. When it came to grades, oh goodness, he showed no skill whatsoever in any aspect. What surprised Hinata was how he still managed to pass every year. She knew his potential was locked elsewhere. Inuzuka Kiba, Hinata's friend who was a natural beast master. He was brash, loud, and most importantly cocky, but he was always there for Hinata and his other friends whenever they needed him. More of a troublemaker than a student, his mischievous behaviors were really starting to rub off on Shikamaru and Hinata. Aburame Shino, Hinata's cool and silent friend. He never talked much, and you will only hear him speak unless he has to. He wore a pair of sunglasses and a long green coat. Hinata knew that he was a very nice person to be with, she just had to open up to him a bit more. A Kimichi Chuji, a chubby boy who loved to eat all the time. Hinata never used the word fat in front of him, or even that word to describe him since he could get very emotional when he heard that. He was Shikamaru's close friend. If people see a Chuji without food, anyone would assume someone transformed into him. Who would want to do that though? Uzumaki Naruto, a blonde-haired boy who wore bright orange clothes and pants. Personally, Hinata thought that wearing such clothing as a shinobi was basically telling the enemies that he wanted to be shot down first. Naruto was the #1 dropout of the class. He may be a dropout, but somehow he was Hinata's support and comforter and best friend who she had affection for. An energetic boy who had always been there for her and never gave up at anything, he was one with much determination. Not knowing why, Hinata noticed that everyone hated him, including some of the kids in the academy. He always made trouble at the academy just to get some attention. She knew underneath that troublemaker was a caring young boy. Naruto-kun, she whispered to herself as a few tears came from her eyes. It has been 7 years, nearly 8 since that day Uzumaki Naruto left the village of Konoha. She has never seen him since, and she missed him so much. She started to cry without knowing. The two pictures had something in common. Both pictures had her and Naruto in it. That was the reason she kept it. She loved him ever since the day he became his friend. He was her first true friend, and she still loved him now. Hinata was broken ever since 7 years ago, when she heard her best friend had left the village with a mysterious man. Irika-sensei was the one who told her specifically after Naruto has been missing school after 4 days consecutively. She thought it was a lie. Naruto would never have left like that. She was in denial, but she knew it was true when the boy didn't show up after 2 weeks straight. She would do anything to see him again. Instead of dwelling in her own self-pity and misery, the Hyuga heiress decided to head outside to take a breath of fresh air. "Hey, where are going?" asked a voice as Hinata was putting on her sandals. The voice belonged to Hinata's younger sister, Hanabi. "Oh, I was just going out for a walk," said Hinata, giving her sister the best smile she could make. The little Hyuga knew better. She hated her sister's fake smiles. It wasn't that Hanabi disliked her. No, she respected her, but those smiles made her look so depressed, as if she was trying to hide something. "Really? Okay, just don't come back too late. Father wouldn't like that." "I know, I'll be going now. Later." "Oh yeah, the genin exam is tomorrow, don't forget that," called Hanabi as Hinata continued to walk closer to the main gates. As the older Hyuga girl walked out of the Hyuga estate, her smile turned into an immediate frown. Genin exam, how much she didn't want to take it. The exam was tomorrow, and she had no confidence to take it. She was afraid of failure. In addition, she didn't want to be a disgrace to her family any more than she already had. This genin exam would just be another scar to her reputation and status in her family. She sighed sadly as didn't even bother to care for where she was heading to, and ignoring everyone who walked past her. Did anyone make any greetings? They might have, but Hinata was in no mood to and too depressed to care about anything. She somehow found herself at a park and looked around with her damnable eyes. She sighed again and made her way to a park bench and sat there alone. On her left, she saw a playground where some of the village children were playing without worries, not needing to care about anything painful in this world. How she envied them. "Oh, Naruto-kun," she murmured to herself. "What would you do at a time like this? I am so lost without you." Tears formed in her eyes again, and she began to cry once more. However, little did she know that the one she loved was not as far away from her than she had imagined. At that moment, the third Hokage was ready to meet with him at the west gate of Konoha. Meanwhile, at the Hokage's office. "So, it's already that day," said the third Hokage of Konoha to himself as he looked at the calendar that was sitting on his desk. He then opened a drawer and searched for a letter from inside. As he opened it, a smile came across his face as he remembered what kind of news it contained. It has been nearly 8 years since that tragic incident. He deeply hoped that the victim that survived it was okay. The last time he saw him gave him so much regret and pain. He just hoped that boy would be able to see light once more in his eyes. At the west gate of Konoha, the third Hokage was waiting patiently at the west gate for his student to return. It has been almost 8 years since the boy left with his student Jiraiya. He just hoped that the boy was able to accept this place once again. He was excited to a certain extent when he heard sounds from the other side demanding entrance to the village. The old man Hokage recognized the voice immediately. It was Jiraiya. He had finally returned. In a matter of seconds, the gate opened just to reveal Jiraiya outside waiting for the gate to allow him passage. Jiraiya greeted the third, giving a hug to his former student. "I'm so glad to see you again." "Likewise, Sarutobi-sensei," said Jiraiya with a chuckle. "Looks like you have really aged, old man. Can't you refer to this as potential?" "Potential? Yes, since I am still taking on this job even though I am old. You never cease to surprise me, Sarutobi-sensei," stated Jiraiya with a soft laugh. "Yes, where's the boy? Where is Naruto? Strange, he was just behind me just now. Don't worry, I'll call him. Naruto, get your butt over here." Suddenly a dark figure appeared right beside Jiraiya at that split second. Not only his appearance, but his speed amazed the third. His impression of the boy had certainly increased. "You called?" asked Naruto to his sensei, not very brightly in cheerfulness. The third was shocked at the boy in front of him. Obviously, he had grown much after these 7 years. He was now wearing black jeans, with a black vest and a dark-colored jacket with bandages that wrapped around his right hand to his right arm. He didn't wear sandals, he wore boots of another dark color, mostly black. Now for his physical appearance, he no longer had peach-like skin, it looked a little lifeless but still looked human to a certain extent. The peach color had dulled. What shocked the Hokage the most was definitely his hair. It wasn't blonde, it was pure silver. He had no idea how this happened, but it really looked familiar. To catch more of the three arties' attention, he eyed the weapon that Naruto was carrying. It was a mystical runeblade. His eyes narrowed immediately at the aura that was giving out seemed dark and demonic. He could feel it in the bottom of his veins. As the boy sheathed back his deadly blade, the Hokage could feel an enormous amount of power coming from Naruto. It was incredible. Jiraiya-sensei, what is it that you called me for? That was fast, Naruto, said the third kindly. Thanks for the compliment, replied Naruto politely. If the Hokage knew Naruto well, he would know the boy was not saying this sincerely. It was rather a sense of habit that he developed. Naruto, said Jiraiya, introducing the old man before the boy. This is the third Hokage. So your Hokage-sama, Sensei has been talking a lot about you for as long as I can remember. At least this boy has a lot of manners. Jiraiya, you have taught him very well, thought the third proudly. Naruto broke into a smirk when he heard the Hokage's thoughts on complimenting Jiraiya. He obviously could hear his thoughts as clear as day. I think you are giving my sensei too much credit, Hokage-sama, said Naruto, which caught the two old men's attention. Sensei taught me no manners, I developed them myself when Jiraiya got caught by the women at the hot spring baths. I, being the student, always had to use the most correct words to save his sorry. The boy didn't even finish since Jiraiya clapped his mouth, halting him in an instant. With his hands crushing his nose, Naruto soon began to flail his arms violently. Jiraiya began the third with a fake cough. You didn't contaminate his mind, did you? Of course not, Sarutobi-sensei, replied Jiraiya nervously. I would never ever do such a thing. Naruto then freed himself from that hold and gave a hoarse cough. Whatever, said the silver-haired boy emotionlessly. I'm here to take the genin exam. I have no time for games. Of course, Naruto. The exam will take place at 9:30 at the Ninja Academy. You still remember where it is, right? Naruto silently nodded. Just don't be late, or Iruka wouldn't like it. Iruka-sensei is still teaching there? Yes, and he has become quite a popular teacher there. Are you excited to see him again? Not as much as I thought, answered Naruto bluntly. And he hasn't seen Iruka for many years. Of course they never developed any kind of strong friendship. In this story, he could really care less about how Iruka thinks of him. To Naruto, Iruka is just like an acquaintance. Well, thanks anyway. I'm going to scout around the village to familiarize myself to this place again. Can't you do it later? Asked the Hokage kindly, but the boy avoided his eyes deliberately. Why later? Questioned Naruto with suspicious eyes. I was thinking that we could have a time to catch up. No need to do something that pointless. There is nothing worthy to catch up. Jiraiya and the Hokage were taken quite aback at that statement. Knowing the boy's changed personality a little, the third found no reason to even trying to make a conversation. Well, if you say so, Jiraiya-sensei, mind if I leave? Asked Naruto, quite annoyed. Sure thing, replied Jiraiya with a nod. The young teen just smiled and disappeared in a flash. Jiraiya, I would like to talk to you, said the third, no longer detecting Naruto's presence nearby. What kind of technique did he just use? A teleporting technique called Blink that allows him to warp a distance up to 500 meters. It's a cunning technique that was taught by his senpai, Uchiha Itachi. So, how has Itachi been doing? He's doing fine. I've heard from him that Orochimaru has left the Akatsuki organization. The Akatsuki doesn't suspect a thing that Kisame and Itachi are spies sent from Konoha. Either way, let's discuss this at my office. With a nod, two old men then left for the third's office for some further discussion. In the streets of the village, Naruto walked around the streets of Konoha just to familiarize himself from his 7-year absence. He expected the cold stares from the villagers once again, but luckily for him, most people didn't even recognize him. It didn't matter if they did. He knew he was much more stronger than them. He was stronger than anyone could ever imagine. It has been 6 years since his demon master Kyuubi granted him power to him. The power was the demon's chakra. The boy gladly accepted the offer and absorbed all the chakra willingly. His chakra was now demonic and deathly green. The demon's effect had no drawbacks. It strengthened his body by a demonic corruption, making him reducing chances of internal bleeding and injuries and giving him much more physical strength. Not only that, Naruto contained both demonic blood and demonic chakra in his internal system. The deadly evil chakra had changed his appearance greatly. His body is at least 2 years more mature than it should be. He looked very manly both mentally and physically. His silver hair was a sign of what he has become. He became one of the fallen champions of the Uzumaki clan, a Death Knight. In the Uzumaki clan, there were people who were paladins or traitorous Death Knights. Paladins were better known as demon hunters who hunted down evil spirits, or demons. To be more precise, they were a clan who had the ability to manipulate demons by sealing these diabolical beings within themselves or into other humans. Having this ability, the controller of the demon could control and wield the demon's powers in battles or learn the abilities the demon once knew. Powerful warriors of the light have the strength of two beings. A normal person clearly had a hard time to take these men out if they possessed no additional advantage of their own. These champions were once praised people of Konoha, and they still would be if there were any left. To be accurate, the Uzumaki clan was a reckless clan who wanted more power from demons. Not everyone had the potential to wield a demon. They had the ability, but they don't have the spirit potential to handle it. The demon's influence might have been too great, and they took over their minds. That was how Death Knights came to be. Death Knights were the evil counterpart of the human paladin. Their demon master granted them power, and what they expect back was loyalty. After being corrupted, they follow the demon's every command, from running away from their family to killing a rival clan. Unfortunately, many of the Uzumakis didn't have the potential to control the beasts within. They had become Death Knights who fled from Konoha and became potentially dangerous missing neens. These dark warriors used powerful vampiric rimblades to do their bidding, a gift that their demon master willingly offered. Their source of strength came from the darkness, and hatred towards the light. In other words, paladins were champions of the light, while these treacherous Death Knights were lieutenants of the darkness. In order to fight against the demon, paladins were sent out to hunt down these Death Knights since no one else had the capabilities to overcome them. As the paladins fought on their counterparts, they were overpowered by the new abilities that the demons possessed. Undoubtedly, this was passed on to their apprentices. The Uzumakis fought against one another while Konoha and its allies hoped for the good news. Tragic news was sent, for most of their holy warriors had been ruthlessly slaughtered. All the villages grieved for their loss. With no one to stop these demonic-controlled beings, they lived a life their masters ordered them to, razing village after village, killing and consuming souls from the innocent, and many other despicable events. As these nightmare riders began their onslaught on the hidden villages itself, it took nearly the entire population to take one Death Knight down. After many sacrifices and ruthless combat, all of these evil paladin counterparts were killed and finally wiped out. Konoha hated every corrupted Uzumaki. At that time only one person in that legendary clan survived, the Yondaime, the fourth Hokage. The fourth was a true champion of the light, one who had a powerful evil demon himself, but now tamed and control all because of the 4th's kindness. The Uzumaki bloodline not only allowed them to capture demons, it also granted an ability to see them, called the unholy sight or the sight of dedication. If anyone believed that detecting demons was the only ability this technique possessed, they were only scratching the surface. Unholy sight could read thoughts of anyone the user desired, read chakra levels around them, and also a clear vision through objects. This clear vision just allows you to see through limited things. The Byakugan's ability and vision was much efficient beyond expected standards. Naruto was a Death Knight, one who had one of the most powerful demons inside of him. He wielded powers beyond anything within your imagination. He wasn't a genius, he worked hard to achieve the strength he had, but of course with his master aiding him all the way. He walked past the villager with a deadly smirk on his face. These villagers would pay for what they did to him. He had sworn revenge after that incident. He won't back down from those words, for suffer and torment was all Konoha rightfully deserved. Time passes. The last Death Knight in this world, Uzumaki Naruto, was currently looking for his apartment. He had the keys in his jacket pocket, but somehow he couldn't exactly remember where it was. Damn, am I having a case of memory loss already? He scolded himself mentally. He soon came across from a familiar park. He frowned as he arrived. Memories came to his mind. He remembered he came to this park when he was a kid. He had fun most of the time, but he usually found parents taking their kids away from him as he arrived, leaving him all alone again. He clutched his hands, turning into a fist of anger. He will have his long-hated vengeance. Somehow, at the back of his mind, he had memory of a girl with beautiful lavender eyes. What was so special about them was that she had no pupils, however, that suited her perfectly. The words she used to describe them puzzled him. He sincerely believed those eyes made her look beautiful. When he thought about it with more consideration, undoubtedly he had to admit that she was gorgeous. Not really remembering the identity of this girl, he somehow knew she was his only true friend. Oh, how badly he wanted to remember her name. He mentally cursed himself even more for not remembering such a person who showed him kindness. The silver-haired boy shook that thought of guilt of his mind as he observed his surroundings. The park hadn't changed much. The trees had certainly grown. The playground seemed to have rusted up a little, but everything else appeared the same. Instead of wasting time doing pointless sightseeing, he ventured deeper into the park, hoping to reach the destination, his old home. However, that was when he saw a navy blue hair girl sitting on the bench with her hands clasped on her face. She was obviously crying. Naruto shook his head slightly and decided to walk past her, pretending he didn't see her at all. Unknowingly, he stopped after several meters and glanced back. What am I doing? He asked himself in his mind. Why should I even care? I don't know her, and she doesn't know me. I'm not going to bother. Even though his mind told him that, his body didn't respond the same way. The silver-haired boy went back to her and decided to sit next to her while mentally yelling at himself for doing so. Miss, are you okay? Asked Naruto kindly. No response came from the girl. Is there something that you want to tell anyone? The girl gave no sign of recognition. Naruto could see she was really down. I don't know what is upsetting you, but if you want to cry it out, do so. The girl stopped sobbing for a sec and one of her eyes caught his appearance. She could tell it was familiar but she couldn't recall who it was. Crying out would be a lot better, he continued. If you want to cry on me, you are more than welcome to do so. Why did you say that, Baka? You know you always have no idea what to do when a girl cries, hiding things within your oof. The girl launched herself at him immediately, and cried into his chest. Naruto really didn't know what to do. He did what he felt best for her and took her into his arms. He embraced her gently as she continued to cry louder. Now he was curious about why she was so upset. He activated his bloodline ability trying to read her thoughts. However, he found nothing. Her mind was filled with mixed emotions. He sighed as he stroked her back hoping she would feel better. Hey, it's okay, comforted Naruto with the best of his ability which didn't seem to cut it. It'll be fine. No, it won't, she said while she sobbed, not looking at him. What is actually wrong? He asked with a little concern. I ain't gonna force you to tell me, but if you tell me I can promise you it would be safe with me. Trust me on this one. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, what's yours? That name perked her ears. Did he just say Uzumaki Naruto? She immediately pulled herself together, and broke the warm embrace. She looked at him carefully and firm. The dark shinobi blushed slightly when he saw her beautiful face. He couldn't feel anything but awkwardness. Naruto-kun? She asked, trying to confirm if this was a dream. The boy in front of her certainly looked like him. His clothing may be different from before, but the whisker marks on his face were still there but only much fainter, and his eyes were the same ocean blue color she always loved. His hair was silver, his skin was a paler color that suited his hair perfectly. Her eyes filled with tears once again. You are Naruto recognized her eyes immediately. His eyes widened a bit. It was the same eyes as the girl she remembered, lavender and no pupils. Her haircut was the same too. Then her name suddenly popped into his head like magic. You are Hyuga Hinata, Naruto-kun! She exclaimed as she projected herself at him, unable to control her emotions. Hi Hinata-chan, wait. Oof. He stood up but she approached him hard. He fell backwards to the grass with the girl on top of him hugging him passionately, not ever wanting to let go. She was crying again, but this time it was tears of happiness and joy. He hugged her back, wrapping his hands around her waist. She was warm and it felt right. The two were in that position for several minutes before the Death Knight realized what kind of an elegant position they were in. If someone saw them, they would think the two teens were madly making out. Naruto sat back up into a sitting position, but Hinata was still embracing him and groaned when she felt his arms leaving her. When she reluctantly broke the hug, she refused to remove her hand off of his arm. Naruto knew she didn't want to let go at all, but he had to make her let go sooner or later. When Naruto tried to remove his hand, she shook her head, giving him the sign to allow her to continue what she was doing. The Death Knight sighed in defeat. I can't feel my arm, Hinata-chan stated Naruto slowly. She loosened the grip hesitantly, and her face showed disappointment. To make her feel better, he held her hand softly, which made her blush like a tomato. Naruto smiled at the sight. Hinata always blushed, it was like her trademark. Suddenly, she hugged him tightly and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Without Hinata knowing, Naruto blushed a bit. He couldn't believe she just kissed him. She's just too happy. He thought, not considering anything else. Naruto-kun, I missed you so much, said Hinata sincerely. Her voice made him melt. You missed me? He asked, wondering why. Of course I did, you are my best friend, of course I would miss you. I miss you too. Why did you leave? She asked, suddenly breaking the embrace. Her voice was serious. What? That was all Naruto could muster at the sudden change of emotion. You heard me, she continued with more force. Why did you leave? Why? I can't say, he replied sadly. Why? Why, Naruto-kun, why can't you tell me? She was now angry. He had never seen her like this before. You left, and you didn't tell me that you were leaving. You made me wait for you for so long. Did you think about those who you would leave behind? Those who care about you. There is no one who cares about me, Hinata-chan, retorted Naruto bitterly. What is there for me to care about? What about me? Asked Hinata timidly and sadly at the same time. Hinata-chan, answer me, Naruto-kun, did you think about me? Did you even care about me? I did feel guilty for leaving you, he answered truthfully. But you won't understand why I left. Yes, I would, she said rather loudly. You can tell me. It's forbidden to let anyone know. It's a direct order from Hokage-sama. Please tell me you have my word that I won't tell a single soul. She was persistent. The Death Knight couldn't blame her though. He has been missing for nearly 8 years. She was the only person who truly cared for him. Pain showed in her eyes. He knew he was hurting her by not telling her. Hinata cared deeply for him. I can't do that, Hinata-chan, even though you say you would understand. I know you wouldn't. Try me, she stated clearly. Her eyes were surprisingly demanding. It was a side of her that he never remembered. The Hinata he knew long ago was a shy little girl who thought of others more than she thought of herself. As his eyes observed her, he could sense the true intentions behind it. Fine, said the Death Knight finally with a sigh. She brightened up. It was an immediate response. Hokage-sama didn't say anything about me telling anyone. However, before I start I want you to prepare what I am telling you. She nodded and gave all her attention to him. Okay, it all started 2 weeks after the trip with Iruka-sensei. I will tell you, Hinata-chan, warned Naruto sternly. What you are about to hear isn't something pretty. Hinata gave him the look, the talking me out of it is inevitable look. Naruto knew that expression too well. Hinata always gave him that stare when she wanted something out of him. He sighed in defeat. Hinata just smiled at that sigh. She knew she won over him, just like old times. Also, you are not allowed to tell anyone else about this unless I say so. Once again, the Hyuga girl nodded promptly and gave him a promising smile. Naruto had to face the facts. This girl never disappointed him in anything. Okay, this all started shortly after the field trip we had with Irika-sensei, around a week or two. Flashback. Okay, I'll see you later, Hinata-chan, said Naruto at 5 years old, waving goodbye to his only friend. I had a fun time, Naruto-kun, responded a 5-year-old Hinata, blushing. Like mentioned before, it was like her trademark. You still want to play with me tomorrow? She asked timidly, not wanting a rejection. Sure I will, Hinata-chan, answered Naruto energetically. You are my best friend, why wouldn't I play with you? He then gave Hinata a reassuring hug that made Hinata blush like a strawberry. It was something that kids would do and wouldn't feel embarrassed about it. She wanted that hug to last forever. She liked him a lot ever since they became friends. Obviously she never told him that. However, she made signs that sent a message. Sadly enough, he was too dense to understand it immediately. Soon, the boy broke the hug and took off, leaving a shocked and blushing girl behind. When Hinata regained her senses, she skipped happily home. However, little did they know a band of villagers were watching their little act the entire time. Their eyes were filled with pure hatred and fear. Who they were watching wasn't the little Hyuga heiress, it was the boy. Then it was decided, that act would commence that night, it would be end of that fear demon. Naruto POV. That night, I was running back to my apartment with a delighted smile on my face. It was a true genuine smile, unlike those fake smiles I always gave to people. I really had a true friend now. Hinata, she was like an angel sent from the heavens to save me. It was like God never forgotten me all this time. He answered my prayers that no one could ever give me a better one. I felt like the happiest boy alive at that moment. No one could tear that friendship bond away. I valued this friendship. I wanted to show Hinata my appreciation. I knew a gift would be the perfect answer. At the back of my head, the perfect gift came up. It was a teddy bear. And lame? Yeah. But what could a 5-year-old think of? It's not like he's getting married. Luckily, it was on discount, so I was able to get it for a cheap price. Unfortunately, that shop was across town, so it took me a while to reach home. But soon, I found out my lateness tonight was my blessing, for it was the night the villagers commenced their revolt. They had enough of me. They couldn't stand 1 second longer of my existence. They decided to get rid of me once and for all. I didn't even know what happened when I returned. All I saw was that my apartment was trashed beyond all repair. There were at least 100 or more people standing outside the area waiting for someone. They were carrying scythes, rakes, pickaxes and other weapons. I didn't know why they did it, but I was emotionally crushed. If I was at home at that time, I knew I would have been killed. Hey, it's that cursed kid! Shouted a villager, pointing at me with a spear. That caught the attention of the other allies who were with him. Shit, there he is! Kill that bastard! Yelled another with absolute rage. Take out his eyes! Screamed another energetically. Tear up his shins! Bludgeon his face! At that moment, I ran for my life. Even though I didn't know what bludgeon or tear meant, I clearly knew what the meaning of burn was. By the tone of their voices, I doubt they were too kind. I continued to run away as quick as my legs could move, but the villagers were hot on my tail. Luckily, I had an incredible source of stamina, so I kept on running. However, due to their sheer numbers, those bloody bastards eventually cornered me. First, they intimidated me, and not long later it was physical torture. They kicked me right in the gut to make sure I would be in enough pain that I couldn't run away. Soon they bashed my head with their fists, tossing me around like a rag doll, trying to make me experience endless torment before my ticket to hell arrived. They wanted it to be slow so I would remember how pitiful I was to them. It was that moment a villager smashed his fist to my head, sending me crashing to a wall, causing dramatic impact to my wasted body. I lay there lifelessly, beaten to a bloody pulp. It wasn't like those scenes from anime where someone did something stupid or perverted and got caught by the targets. I was dying. I was really dying. Blood seeped through the wound on my head down to my nose and continued to drip onto the ground. A mixture of fear, anger, resentment, and other feelings dwelled inside me. I was very emotionally hurt. When the villagers had enough of their fun, they wished to end my life. My eyes widened in complete fear as I saw a figure holding a scythe over his head ready to strike. I closed my eyes, believing that was the end of my life. I felt tears coming from my eyes. I couldn't believe this friendship between me and Hinata would end like this. It was too soon. There was so much I didn't want to let go yet. I shut my eyes, prepared for anything, knowing it was useless to retaliate. I felt like crying. I was too powerless to help myself, too weak to accomplish what I wanted to do. Stop this now! Ordered someone from above harshly. Suddenly a man with a mask came down from above, coming to my aid. That voice sounded so familiar, it sounded like it was the third Hokage. I glanced at the masked man. He looked like an ANBU member. Before I could even express my gratitude, my body felt weak. Soon, I passed out due to exhaustion and severe injuries. Days later after that tragic incident, I woke up either the next day or even several days later. As I opened my eyes, I could see the old man Hokage next to me. I realized I was in the hospital. Naruto, how are you feeling? He asked kindly, offering his hand. I jerked away immediately and glared at his hand. I couldn't trust him or anyone. How could I trust people after the incident that happened that night? Their evil expressions were still stuck in my mind as if it happened just now. I wanted it to disappear, but it continued to haunt me, to torment me. I thrashed violently like a crazed maniac, not knowing why or had the willpower to control my actions and emotions. If the third didn't hold me close and did the right thing to calm me down, the entire room might have been destroyed. Get away from me! I screamed once I felt he was holding my shoulders. Normally, I would be glad someone showed their kindness, but not today. I rudely shoved his hand off my shoulders as I trembled in fear. What the heck is happening to me? I thought as cold sweat came down my forehead. This is the Hokage, I kept telling myself in my head. Calm down, Naruto, calm down. I tried to listen to myself, but my conscience didn't feel otherwise. Where are all those evil people? I asked rather rudely, but the look he gave me seemed like he expected me to ask that. Where are they, Hokage-sama? Why did they try to kill me? What did I do? It's not you, Naruto, said the third sadly, lowering his head. I'll tell you, it's not you. Then why? I wanted an answer immediately. You do want to know what happened to those people, don't you, Naruto? He asked, changing the subject. I nodded slowly, watching his every movement. Everything he did seemed so suspicious to me all of a sudden. I ordered the ANBU to deal with them, don't worry. What do you mean? What if they come back to hunt me? No, they won't. I made sure they won't. A sudden sense of realization hit me. They were dead. The old man Hokage ordered the ANBU to execute over 100 men. It was a bit hard to swallow at the time being. Naruto, what would you like to do now? He asked understandingly. I don't know, I replied with my hands covering my face, crying. Would you like to stay here in Konoha and continue to live here? Hell no! I snapped angrily. How the hell do you expect me to live here after what happened? Deep down I was laughing at the old man for asking such a stupid question, but again, the look he gave me told me that he expected that answer as well. If you don't want to stay here, where do you want to go? Anywhere but here. I stated simply without emotion. I felt strange speaking in that tone, but somehow it felt right somehow. It was like a 180-degree contrast of me. Somehow I liked it. I'm leaving Konoha, Hokage-sama. I don't care if you allow me or not. I know I can't stay here. How would you survive in the outside world? You are only 5 years old, said the third. Somehow, he wasn't too surprised at my decision. His psychology started to freak me out. Then I was realized, when did I start to think like that? I never cared about anything in the world other than ramen, training, pranks and Hinata-chan. When did I start to notice human gestures and psychology? I didn't understand my sudden change at all. I don't care, I replied coldly. I'd rather die of survival than in the hands of those bloody bastards. The old man smiled sincerely. To me it seemed he was mocking me. If you intend to leave, I won't stop you, Naruto. My eyes blinked several times, trying to make sure I heard what I heard. To be honest, I wanted to send you away for some time. I glared at him angrily. So you don't want me here either? I snapped bitterly. No, it's not that. After the incident you had several days ago, I really don't think it would be wise for a 5-year-old to remain at a place like this. It's not good for your growth, since it does bring very tragic memories. I winced at those words. But I didn't want to force you out of this village, so I wanted to make sure that you wanted to make this decision on your own. Thanks for your consideration. Even though you are leaving, I want a guardian to take care of you. A guardian? I lived alone all my life. Why would I need a guardian now? I said, rather surprised. The outside world isn't like the life here in Konoha, Naruto. He declared, raising his voice. If you aren't going with a guardian, I won't allow you to leave the village. I muttered a fine under my breath, knowing there was no way I could win an argument like this. The best move was to agree to his terms. Who's this guy that's gonna be my guardian? I asked with my foxy eyes but without the grin. You will like him, I am sure of it. Then a man in his early 40s entered the room. He was dressed in red Japanese-style clothing. He had white hair with 2 red lines from his eyes, which reached down to his face. He had no Konoha protector on him, but he had a scroll. I looked at the man closely. He seemed to jerk back a bit when he saw me. I wondered why. Naruto, this is Jiraiya. He will be your guardian from now on. Hokage-sama, I want another guardian, I muttered, making Jiraiya fell over anime style. Another guardian? Yelled Jiraiya furiously. Do you even know who I am? No. I stated. I am the great Jiraiya, the amazing Toad Summoner, and one of Konoha's legendary 3. I will show you that I am amazing. Yeah, but you are a pervert. The third sweat dropped and gave a disappointed stare at Jiraiya. Jiraiya's face darkened as he heard me, which made me laugh loudly. Jiraiya, said the third in a threatening tone. What did this kid see you do? He didn't see anything. I don't know him. This is the first time I saw him, Sarutobi-sensei. Justified Jiraiya in a slight panic. I am really telling the truth. If he didn't see anything, how would he know what your profession was? Questioned the Hokage. Well, I don't know. I'll tell you, Hokage-sama. I said in my usual energetic tone. Jiraiya's eyes widened. It was like, I was walking around town one day and I saw him outside the women's bath peeking at something. He was really visible and I was cut short by a lock performed by Jiraiya. I tried to break it but he was too strong. Listen up, kid, said Jiraiya, giving me death glares in every word. You keep quiet and I will buy you anything later, okay? He expressed the word okay with much force and desperation. I was laughing inwardly. You mean it? I asked, still within his grasp. Yes, deal, ahem, said the third, clearing his throat, catching both our attentions. We still have an important matter to discuss here, remember? Yeah, I said. When am I leaving? Tomorrow morning. I was surprised at this sudden plan. You should know Jiraiya will also be your sensei from this day on. You will be able to learn a lot from him. I simply nodded. I was grateful that Jiraiya was going to train me even if he was a pervert. If I didn't have this psychological breakdown, I would be jumping for joy. Deep down, I was relieved that I was leaving this place. The look on my new sensei's face showed nothing more than concern and sadness. I don't even know him. Why would he show such emotions towards me? Somehow I knew he cared. That evening, I tried to find everything in my wrecked apartment. All I retrieved were my clothes, some money, scrolls and ninja weapons. The following morning, the two of us left the village without anyone escorting us other than the Hokage. He ordered this to be a highly classified mission and no one except me can tell anyone about it. That day, I left Konoha willingly, not ever wanting to return. End flashback. General POV. That's my story, Hinata-chan, said Naruto, sighing a little. After that incident, I lost a lot of my morals and values in life. I no longer trusted anyone or anything. There was no one who you could really trust unless you really pierced into their thoughts and mind. My life then was more of a tunnel where light wasn't at the end, it was eternal corruption and— Stop it, Naruto-kun, said Hinata as she started to cry again. Then she embraced him in another passionate hug that took him by surprise. She sobbed on his shoulder, making it all wet, but he didn't care. He knew it wasn't something that she wanted to hear, but it seemed that she was glad to hear the truth in the end. I'm sorry you had to hear this, Hinata-chan. No, she wiped the tears off her face. It was my decision, thank you for telling me, Naruto-kun, thought Hinata warmly. I hope you know I really care about you. It's a good thing to know somebody cares about me, said Naruto blindly. Huh? Is he saying what I think he is? Does he care for me like I do? I am grateful to have someone like you care for me, worry about me when I am in danger. You haven't forgotten about me after all these years, and yet I forgot about you. I feel guilty not remembering a person such as yourself. It has been 7 years, Naruto-kun. I don't care how long it has been, as long as you are here with me I feel happy, I feel secure. When can I tell you that what I feel inside? Is there something you want to tell me? He asked, reading her thoughts with his eyes. His bloodline ability allowed him to hear her thoughts out loud. She shrieked a little bit. How did he know that she was thinking of something like that? Nothing, there is nothing. She flailed her hands nervously. The Death Knight seemed unconvinced, but he decided to drop it. Infiltrating someone's mind as if it was a casual thing was a disrespectful thing to do. There are always some things you shouldn't abuse when the power was given to you. If he stayed here any longer, he may lose himself and listen to more of her thoughts. He was curious of what she was thinking. He decided to leave and continue with what he was trying to do in the first. As he got up, her hand snaked around his. He gave her a glance. Her teary eyes wanted him to stay. As he tried to break, her grip increased. He felt her warm small hands. They were gentle, soft, and filled with a passionate feeling. Her eyes demanded him to stay. It wasn't forceful, but no one could resist it, not even Naruto. Hinata-chan, please stay with me. Her voice was heavenly to his ears. No one could reject. He soon found himself sitting back down again with Hinata lovingly wrapping her arms around his. He blushed a little knowing what kind of situation they are at. But it felt fine, it wasn't shameful, it was just right. The two teens sat there in silence. Hinata was enjoying every bit of it while Naruto took a few glances at her once in a while. She blushed every time he did that. I wonder how Hinata-chan could blush all the time. She's so cute when she does that, thought Naruto. Wait, what am I thinking? Damn you, Jiraiya, it's your fault for being such a pervert. Hinata-chan, said Naruto, suddenly breaking their peaceful silence. I suggest you don't think of anything that you don't want me to know. Why? Did I tell you I could hear thoughts if I want to? Hinata's eyes widened in shock. There were plenty of things that she didn't want Naruto to know. If he found out how much she loved him, he possibly just couldn't. Not to mention some of the naughtiest things that were at the back of her mind that can never be revealed to anyone. She started to curl into a ball, trying to be as small as possible, not wanting Naruto to invade. I'm just teasing you, Hinata-chan. I ain't gonna read your mind for no reason. Please don't read my mind, Naruto-kun. She begged. My eyes see a lot more than you imagine. That reminds me, why were you crying just now? Hinata looked at the ground, not meeting his eyes. Her actions told him it was something difficult that she has to face, but she didn't want to deal with it. She was afraid, but he couldn't catch what it was. Hinata-chan, did something happen to you? Can you tell me? I don't want to say it. It's no use trying to hide it from me. I will find out one way or another. He then activated his eyes, the unholy sight turning his pupils to teal. I don't want to take the genin exam. she exclaimed loudly, which startled Naruto a little. I'm scared. I'm afraid I may fail and my father and the clan will think I'm useless. I don't want to disappoint them, but I am so afraid that I may screw up. I don't know what to do. She then embraced the boy for comfort and security. The Death Knight did what his instincts told him. He hugged her back. Then, he felt the girl was holding him tighter, more passionate than before. He smiled inwardly and rubbed her back gently to relax her. She seemed to like it. Then, a perfect idea struck his mind. Hinata-chan, said the silver-hair boy, breaking the warm embrace, looking right into her lavender eyes. A shade of crimson appeared on her cheeks. I may be able to help you. You know what the exam format is? You're gonna help me, Naruto-kun? She asked, not believing she was hearing. Yeah, that's what friends are for, right? I wish we are more than friends, thought the Hyuga girl. Come on, Hinata-chan, I'm making an offer you can't possibly refuse. He tried sounding convincing. Are you sure? She questioned teasingly. Positive, stated Naruto confidently with a smile. Okay, she said, giving in. The exam consists of 3 tests, the Bunshin test, the weapons throwing accuracy test, and the one-on-one dueling. One-on-one dueling? That sounds fun. That's the test I am worried about. I can't mess up on that test. Father will never forgive me if I failed against those students. I have the Hyuga bloodline abilities. Father expects me to beat them. He can't afford to have a useless and weak heiress, she explained sadly. Naruto just smiled, giving her the message that she wasn't weak in his eyes. He would be there to make her stronger. What do you say if I teach you a very useful jutsu? The Death Knight offered sincerely and willingly. I can't accept that, Naruto-kun, she replied, blushing. It would be a bother for you to teach me. No, it won't be. I'll be glad to teach you something new. Trust me, this technique would be beneficial to your Hyuga gentle fist that disrupts chakra flow and internal damage. I'm certain that this move would give the edge in any battle against any opponent. Consider this as my gift to you. You are my best friend. I want you to accept this token of appreciation. Thank you, Naruto-kun. She accepted his offer happily. No wonder I love you, Naruto-kun, she thought, smiling radiantly. But I'm not that good with jutsus. I might take too long. Don't worry, Hinata-chan. It only took me 2 days to learn it. At that time I was only like 6. You are much stronger than me when I started to learn it. You'll be fine. She nodded slightly, but inside she was jumping for joy since Naruto had so much faith in her and truly believed that she could do it. The technique is called mana burn. Some people refer to it as chakra burn. The purpose of this technique is simple, to burn chakra. Yes, you want to know what I meant by that. To make it simple, this is a close-range beam that is composed of negative energies that destroys a specific amount of chakra from the target the user desires. The chakra that was burned or destroyed would be used against the target. How though? She asked while listening attentively. The burned chakra would now damage the target by the same amount of chakra burned. During the process, you are basically thinning out their chakra and dealing damage, messing up their stamina. It's a very lethal move, Hinata-chan. Remember, chakra is something that a ninja needs to survive. Hitting the correct area with the mana burn can burn up a huge portion of chakra and severe impact to the target's stamina level. If you burn too much, it could be an instant death thing. With your Byakugan, you will know where to hit. You can use the technique even better than me. But how much chakra could I burn with this move? She asked curiously. It will be 3 times or more than the chakra you used to perform the move. Where is the best area to hit though? The chakra organ or the heart? If you hit there, you could disrupt their chakra by over 10 times the amount you put in. That alone can kill a target in one shot if they are weak, he explained. Now, I will show you what the result should be. He quickly formed hand seals that Hinata couldn't even catch what they were. Then at the palm of his hand, he released a thin fluorescent green beam that reached about 20 feet before it wore out. Then Naruto created a Kage Bunshin and used it as the human guinea pig. As the beam hit the clone, the replication held at the spot of where the beam hit painfully. The clone coughed and panted heavily before it vanished in a cloud of smoke. Hinata was astounded by this technique. It made her wanted to learn it even more. After a long period of time, it took Hinata 6 hours to learn this move, and it was faster than what Naruto expected. Her chakra control was very good but not perfect. She managed to learn how much chakra she should use. Hinata even knew how to put more chakra into the beam to achieve an even greater result. The Death Knight had to admit, she was a natural at energy disrupting techniques. Her mana burn had range, control and considerable amount damage. It was outstanding. He couldn't help feeling proud of himself for teaching her friend. This was so much better than that teddy bear that he was going to give her. Hinata-chan, that was great, said Naruto happily. You mastered it already. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she replied with heavy breathing. She then started to fall forward due to exhaustion. Luckily Naruto caught her by the shoulders before her face made contact with the ground. He quickly turned her around so she would be resting in his arms. Naruto-kun, she whimpered as she held his hand for reassurance. The Death Knight blushed at her touch but decided to shake it off. He was worried. Her chakra levels were too low. She really overworked herself today. Hinata-chan, are you okay? He asked in a concerned tone. I'm sorry, don't be silly. You have no idea how proud I am to see you mastering that move in such a short amount of time. Just rest for a bit. She mastered one of my hidden techniques in such a short amount of time. She really does have potential, thought Naruto. However, I need to heal her before her condition gets worse. I could give her some of my chakra. No, my demonic chakra would corrupt her. I can't do that. I will use a potion. He then reached for his pouch on his left waist and reached out a small jar. He opened it and allowed Hinata to drink it. Surprisingly enough, she took all of it. He didn't mind though, as long as she was safe that was what mattered. Moments later, he could feel her chakra levels rising again. Her face became more lively. As she rested pleasantly closing her eyes, it was then when the silver-haired shinobi started to cough. He had used way too much chakra to create clones, not only that he took some of the mana burn hits as well. It was obvious to anyone his health was quite messed up too. With Hinata sleeping, he felt safe from using one of the Death Knight's key attacks. This has to do, he said to himself, taking his vampiric rim blade and charging it with energy. The blade started to glow deathly green. However, Hinata wasn't asleep as she was watching the entire thing. Death coil! He exclaimed while the energy from his blade launched itself at him in a coil of death. Her eyes widened with shock as the death coil consumed Naruto in a defiled manner. It was like death itself has devoured him. As the effect wore off, the Death Knight sighed in relief. He looked a lot more alive. He had a smile on his face as he turned slightly to make it visible for the Hyuga girl. How could this be, thought Hinata, still stunned at what she saw. Naruto-kun felt better after that. It didn't look like any healing technique to me. Naruto-kun, she murmured softly, which was audible to the boy. He rushed to her side immediately, holding her hand. She blushed again when she felt his touch. You okay? He asked, using his not occupied hand, and felt the temperature of her cheeks. Another shade of fuchsia appeared which didn't go unnoticed. He smiled. Good, you don't have a fever, you were just tired. He wanted to help her sit up, but her actions told him she wanted to lie down, but she wanted to rest on him in a cozy position. Strangely, he didn't refuse and allowed the back of her head to rest gently on her chest. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she managed to say while sighing pleasantly, looking up at the darkening sky. You like the position you're in right now? He asked jokingly. She nodded silently with a sincere smile. It's worth it to see you happy. You're so nice to me, you haven't changed one bit. She stated warmly. I haven't? He asked curiously. You were always kind to people, it's who you are, it's something very rare in humans. Naruto was touched. He knew she meant every word. You are kind yourself, Hinata-chan, he said as he gave her a slight massage on her shoulders. She stiffened at first, but then she gave in to the soothing sensation she was receiving. How do you like it? It feels wonderful, Naruto-kun, she said, nearly moaning in pleasure. The dark warrior blushed. I am glad you like it, he said, stuttering between words. The two teens sat in silence, enjoying each other's presence. The lavender-eyed girl was amazed at his touch. He became much different than before. He was no longer obnoxious but a true gentleman. He was mature, mysterious, unpredictable in a good way, genuine. He was everything a woman would want and love. The girl blushed even deeper when she took a short glimpse at him. She knew she loved him, and at that moment she really wanted to tell him her true feelings towards him. She was so glad he has returned to her. Naruto looked at the girl in front of him. Even though he wasn't obsessed about girls like his sensei, he had to admit Hinata was very cute, and not to mention pretty. He realized today how much Hinata liked him. He knew he was too dense to notice this before. In other words, too stupid. All those actions she took today, they were filled with affection. As he observed her, she still had the same haircut she had 7 years ago, and her eyes seemed to glitter radiantly. He shook his head violently, trying to shut out all the inappropriate thoughts in his head. He knew he couldn't think like that. All he was trying to do was make her feel better. That was what he kept telling himself. Naruto-kun, whispered Hinata softly, breaking the silence between them. What is it? He asked. I haven't ate anything all day, she told him while giggling. I'm hungry. Same here, Hinata-chan, that makes the two of us. The two chuckled a bit. It'll be my treat, let's go. She nodded in agreement as Naruto took her hand, leaving the park. It was a good start of a broken friendship. You're so kind to me, Naruto-kun, thought the heiress dreamingly. Welcome back. ANN, Chapter 2 is done, YTT. Shoved fist into the air triumphantly. Anyway, I hoped you liked it. It was long, real long. 5K or something words, man. I really thought that I was going to die. I exaggerated the dying part, but you can tell I was kidding. Reviews are always appreciated. If you want to know the techniques in a more detailed fashion, tell me. I will post something like a jutsu list when more of those moves show up. Hey, I want this to be a good FIC after all. You wouldn't want this to turn out crappy, would you? Oh yeah, my storyline is already plotted, so you can't really change it in any way, but good suggestions could always make me consider. Final words, I hoped you enjoyed it. I hope to hear your opinions. To those who believe that Naruto sounded too grown up in that flashback, well, that's the critical point where his views and opinions in life changed drastically. Maturity was crucial. I hope you all liked it. Now, for some important addition stuff. The jutsu list. Important note, since one author out there sent an abuse to my story about this list, I have no choice but to move the list here. So in the future, if you don't know enough details about the new introduced attacks and jutsus or whatnot, please remember to look in Chapter 2 since I deleted the jutsu explanation page off. Don't blame the person who sent the abuse report. I shouldn't have said things that I shouldn't have. My blindness rage just took the better of me. I hope you won't get any confusions. Enjoy. Additional and all the moves listed here, Naruto knows all of them. Those who believe that he has too many moves, let me ask you this then. If he knows a lot of techniques, isn't that a good thing? It's not to his disadvantage or whatnot, and I like him knowing that many attacks. It makes him very cunning and versatile. If you like this, I'm glad. If you don't, I could care less. Just to remind all of you, Naruto is extremely powerful in this story. If he seems invincible, I'll guarantee he ain't, but it doesn't seem like it. He will get hurt. He can die if acts like a fool in an actually battle. 1. Unholy Sight/Sight of Divinity, introduced in Chapter 1. Description: a Uzumaki clan bloodline limit to enable them to see demons as primary effect. Secondary but very important include reading thoughts, sensing chakra levels of people, and a minor see-through vision. But it can't see chakra flow system or tenketsu. Users: anyone with Uzumaki bloodline. Currently Naruto. Chakra usage: very low and slowly drains chakra when activated. Targets: anyone to read their thoughts or sense their chakra. Otherwise none. Cooldown rate none. Range not applicable. I created this move, it originates from me. Some people would consider this ability to be divine since it does see evil demons. That's what paladins would call this ability. Some other people would consider it to be unholy since some believed the technique was a way to connect to the demons. That's what Death Knights call the move. 2. Death Coil, introduced in Chapter 2. Description: a coil of death that deals a superficial amount of damage to a living being or heals a dead or demonic being by a lot. Users: Naruto only. Chakra usage: low. Targets: self, living to deal damage, the dead to heal. Cooldown rate: depends on the user's skill. Otherwise moderate. Firing range: long but could be used at any distance. Damage: very high. Originate from undead Death Knight. Remember this, Death Knights are half demon and half human beings. That's why Naruto uses Death Coil to heal himself. Also, he has demonic chakra flowing in his veins, making him able to use this move on himself. Naruto is not dead, don't worry, but he is afraid of divine light, since he is darkness. 3. Mana Burn, introduced in Chapter 2. Description: a beam composed of negative energies that burn mana/chakra from a certain target, and deals damage to the target by the same amount of mana burned. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata, Kamishiro Rin. Chakra usage: lower than Death Coil. Cooldown rate fast. Targets: anything living or dead with chakra. Firing range: preferably close, possibly medium. Damage: medium. Originated from Night Elf Demon Hunter. 4. Blink, introduced in Chapter 1. Description: a short distance teleport technique that warps the user to a distance up to 500 meters. 500 meters is pretty far. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Itachi, Hyuga Hinata, Kamishiro Rin. Chakra usage: very low. Cooldown rate: very fast. Targets: none. Range: not applicable. Originated from Night Elf Warden. The chakra usage might be low, but if used way too consecutively, like as if it's your source of traveling from place to place, it will be draining. 5. Rejuvenation, introduced in Chapter 3. Description: a very rare healing technique known to few medic means in all the countries. It's a move that could rejuvenate internal wounds and external injuries with a glowing light gradually. It won't heal the injuries completely if it's severe, but it does make sure the person would be alive, unless the victim is already dead. Users: Uzumaki Naruto. Chakra usage: high. Cooldown rate: very fast. Targets: self, anything still alive. Target range: close. Originated from Night Elf Unit, Druid of the Claw. 6. Metamorphosis, introduced in Chapter 4. Description: turns the Death Knight into an extremely powerful dark half-demon, half-human. The Death Knight's dangerous trump card. Users: Naruto only. Chakra usage: very high. Cooldown rate: very slow. Targets: none. Range: none. Originated from the Night Elf Demon Hunter. Okay, this one would take a bit of explanation. The metamorphosis isn't a move that Naruto could use just for the fun of it. Even if he nearly gets killed in battle, he shouldn't use it. The metamorphosis uses the dark powers within himself to transform, causing Naruto's mind to be influenced by the darkness. This darkness is very tempting and it could easily take over his actions, making Naruto a dangerous predator. Activation methods: 1. Naruto uses it willingly, which is never. 2. Naruto gets too injured and the dark spirit comes into his aid to heal him. However, the process of healing is too quick for the Death Knight to handle, so another form must be used in order to sustain it. 3. Naruto's mind becomes evil, so the dark spirit would make him transform much easier, as if it's necessary. 7. Phase shift, introduced in Chapter 6. Deception, removes the user from existence for 1 second and returns in the next. During this process, the user would dodge and evade all incoming attacks for that 1 second. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura. Chakra usage: very low. Cooldown rate: very fast. Targets: none. Range: none. Originated from Night Elf Unit, Fairy Dragon. 8. Unholy Aura, introduced in Chapter 6. Description: a powerful aura that gives friendly allies and comrades an additional health regeneration and movement speed by 40. The Death Knight decides who the aura would affect. Users: Uzumaki Naruto. Chakra usage: none. Cooldown rate: none. Targets: self, anyone he desires. Aura radius: 12 meters. Originated from Undead Death Knight. Okay, if you play WC3, you'll know the auras are passive abilities. Those who don't know what I am talking about, well, I hope you understand at least. You all know all auras have a ring surrounding the hero showing that there is an aura. In this case, I will not have a ring or anything since this is real life and not a game. But the reason I made it into a activate or deactivate move since the unholy aura does reveal the position of the Death Knight. Those who play WC3 will know what I'm talking about. In this case, Naruto would only activate his aura in combat if he has to instead of an effect 24/7. I wish it was though, but I have to put some logic in my story. 9. Death Pact, introduced in Chapter 6. Description: generates chakra to the Rimblade causing the Death Knight's attacks to recover health, not chakra, by 300 of the damage dealt. Users: Uzumaki Death Knights, Naruto for now. Chakra usage: very high. Cooldown rate: moderate. Targets: anything. Target range: medium. Damage: very high. Originated from the Undead Death Knight. Okay, I made the Death Pact into an offensive technique because this ability is really cool. Of course, there are drawbacks, so I had to make the technique use up a lot of chakra to perform. I hope you guys could live with it. 10. Fan of Knives, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: generates chakra in both palms and spins rapidly for a several 360 degrees. During this process, the chakra being generated can be used as a stable shield to deflect and block incoming basic attacks. This isn't close to a perfect defense, but it helps. At the same time, while spinning, a legion of chakra blades would be fired in a 360-degree angle direction that reaches around 10 meters. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata. Chakra usage: medium. Cooldown rate: moderate. Targets: anything. Target range: close to medium. Damage: high. Originated from the Night Elf Warden. 11. Wind Walk, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: turns the user invisible and increase movement speed by 80 for 180 seconds. When wind walking and the user decides to attack, the damage would be doubled but with cost of breaking invisibility. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, Kamishiro Rin. Chakra usage: low. Cooldown rate: very fast. Targets: self. Range: not applicable. Originated from the Orc Blade Master. 12. Immolation, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: enables the user in raging flames of chakra that burn nearby enemies in close range combat. However, it slowly drains the user's chakra until deactivated or when the user lacks chakra. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata. Chakra usage: very low but drains gradually. Cooldown rate: none. Targets: anything. Range: 1 meter radius. Damage: medium. Originated from the Night Elf Demon Hunter. 13. Mana Flare, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: enables a powerful chakra shield around the user to increase defense drastically. The chakra from the shield will seek enemy chakra sources and attacks them in a bolt continuously for 60 seconds, or deactivated. However, once this move is used, the user can't move until it is deactivated manually or when the time reaches the limit. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura. Chakra usage: very low. Cooldown rate: none. Firing rate: fast. Targets: anything with chakra, including enemy jutsus. Target range: long. Damage: medium. Originated Night Elf Unit, Fairy Dragon. 14. Shadow Strike, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: releases a chakra dagger with a deal of poison. Once it hits the target, it will deal superficial damage. AMD slowly deals more damage from time to time for the next several minutes. The target during this time will be slowed down in movement and attack rate by 40. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata. Chakra usage: low. Cooldown rate: high. Targets: anything. Target range: medium. Damage: high. Originated from Night Elf Warden. 15. Mirror Image, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: the user creates 4 different images of themselves to confuse the enemy with. Images last 300 seconds and has the health of the user that used it, so it won't be destroyed in one hit. However, the images deal extremely low damage and do not have any techniques of their own other than their passive abilities. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, Kamishiro Rin. Chakra usage: high. Cooldown rate: very low. Targets: none. Target range: none. Originated from Orc Blade Master. 16. Evasion, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: a self-ability that allows the user to move much faster at the blink of time to evade an attack completely by 30. Type: passive. All passive abilities do not require chakra, cooldown, range and can't target anything. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata. Originated from Night Elf Demon Hunter. 17. Critical Strike, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: a self-ability that enables the user to deal 4 times more damage by 20. It powers up the strength of the user in their attacks. Type: passive. Users: Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura. Originated from Orc Blade Master. 18. Cripple, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: a negative energy stunning technique that deals low damage but slows down the target's movement rate and attack rate by 70. At the same time, Their attack strength will also be reduced by 30. Users, Uzumaki Naruto, chakra usage medium, cooldown rate fast, targets, anything, target range, long, damage very low, originated from undead unit, necromancer. 19. Unholy Frenzy, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: increases the target's movement speed and attack rate by 75 for the next 120 seconds. However, it does hurt the target by a little bit during the time being since it's a forced dramatic increase. Users, Uzumaki Naruto, chakra usage, low, cooldown rate very fast, targets, self, allies, target range, medium, originated from undead unit, necromancer. 20. Meteor Fall/Starfall, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: an ultimate level technique that calls down raining meteors from the skies to strike the user's enemies. Meteors will hit an enemy every 1.5 seconds and deals heavy damage. However, the user must stay at that spot until it's over or the technique will be disrupted. Lasts 90 seconds. Users, Uzumaki Naruto, chakra usage, very high, cooldown rate very slow, targets, enemy living or dead, target range, long, damage very high, originated from Night Elf Priestess of the Moon. 21. Devour Magic, introduced in Chapter 8. Description: users uses high amount of chakra to absorb all the chakra that was put into the enemy's jutsu, and uses it to benefit him/herself. Users, Uzumaki Naruto, chakra usage high, cooldown rate fast, targets, on any jutsu that require chakra, target range, long, originated from Undead Unit Destroyer. 22. Chain Lightning, introduced in Chapter 9. Description: a chain reaction beam that deals very high amount of damage to the aimed target, and jumps 8 times to nearby enemies to damage them. Each jump deals 5 less damage. Users, Uzumaki Naruto, Kamishiro Rin, chakra usage high, cooldown rate slow, targets, anything, target range, long, additional target range, medium, damage, high and decreases gradually, originated from Orc Farseer. 23. Searing Arrows, introduced in Chapter 9. Description: the users uses chakra in their ranged attacks within an arrow form, molding their chakra as an arrow that could deal 35 more damage with a splash damage effect, fire effect, to nearby enemies. Each shot drains chakra. Users, Kamishiro Rin, Naruto does not know this. Chakra usage, very low, cooldown rate, based on the stamina and endurance of the user. Targets, anything, firing range, long, damage, based on the strength of the user. In Rin's case, very high, originated from Night Elf Priestess of the Moon. 24. Ice Shard, introduced in Chapter 13. Description: user generates chakra into a large ice form and deals heavy damage to the target. The target then will be stunned for 3 seconds, not able to attack or move. Users, Haku, chakra usage low, cooldown rate medium, targets, anything, firing range, long, damage medium, originated from Naga Unit, Royal Guard. 25. Frost Nova, introduced in Chapter 13. Description: a ice freezing explosion that deals heavy area effect damage. Anyone who gets damaged by this attack would be slowed down in movement by 30 and attack rate by 30 for 10 seconds. If the target is weak, the cold effect may last a lot longer than normal. Users, Haku, chakra usage high, cooldown rate medium, targets, anything, firing range, long, damage very high, originated from the Undead Lich. 26. Cold Arrows, introduced in Chapter 13. Description: generates chakra in their ranged attacks that deal 30 more damage with a cold effect. This cold effect would decrease the target's movement and attack rate by 80 for 10 seconds. Each shot drains chakra. Users, Kamishiro Rin, chakra usage, medium, it's not that high but the way she fires it does take a bit of chakra. Cooldown rate, based on stamina and endurance of the user. In Rin's case, very low, targets, anything, firing range, based on the skill of the ranged attacker, long, damage high, originated from Naga Sea Witch. 27. Fork Lightning, introduced in Chapter 13. Description: a multiple striking lightning blast that shocks 5 enemy targets at once, inflicting powerful damage. A move great for covering fire, suppressing fire, or simply to kill a group of people at once. The damage is dealt evenly to all 5 targets. Users, Uzumaki Naruto, Kamishiro Rin, chakra usage high, cooldown rate slow, targets, anything, damage very high, firing range, long, originated from Naga Sea Witch. 28. Silence, introduced in Chapter 13. Description: channels chakra into an area and anyone who gets exposed to it cannot perform any jutsus for 60 seconds. Gathering chakra is still possible for movement, and whatnot. Users, Uzumaki Naruto, Kamishiro Rin, chakra usage, low, cooldown rate low, targets, anything but self and comrades, damage none, casting range, medium, originated from Undead Dark Ranger. Rin is a girl with an advanced bloodline like Naruto, Haku, Hinata and Sasuke. I'll get into detail when the opportunity comes. The morning of the very next day, the morning in Konoha was always a peaceful scene to enjoy. However, Naruto didn't seem to agree with that statement. As the alarm clock started its infernal racket once the second hand reached 8:30 a.m., it startled the silver-haired boy to the core. As a result, his so-called beautiful dream was shattered to 1,000 shards. How annoying, he thought as he punched the clock, effortlessly turning it into pieces of scrap metal. I really should stop relying on these things to wake me up. He chuckled at that thought, then he went on with the morning routines. After a nice, quick shower, he went to his room to get dressed. He wore the usual color, black. He wore black pants with a belt to hold 2 pouches on his back, a dark blue vest on top of his black t-shirt that revealed his bandaged right arm. After he tied his headband on his forehead, he wore a blindfold to cover his eyes. The boy wasn't blind. The reason to this was to train his bloodline limit. In simpler words, he was training on the see-through vision part of his ability. If there were obstacles in his path, he must focus more chakra in order to see through it. Gradually he would get used to this new difficulty, and permanently increase his vision. When he believed it was too easy, he would simply add more chakra into the blindfold to obstruct his vision even more. It was a good practice since his sight wasn't like the Byakugan. He needed to achieve it to a higher level. As he put the blindfold on, he gathered chakra into his hand and his runeblade. Night Shadow came to his side immediately and equipped itself onto his left waist. He then made a quick breakfast that was clearly ramen, and consumed it in 10 quick bites. After a deep breath of fresh air outside, he quickened his pace to the old academy to take on the genin exam. There was a long day ahead of him. At the academy during the meantime, Hinata arrived at the academy quite early that morning. She was the second to arrive. The first person to arrive other than Iruka-sensei was the number 1 student, Uchiha Sasuke, one of Hinata's friends. She decided to have a quick chat with him before class started since when the fangirls arrived, she wouldn't be able to get close. Besides, it had been a while since the two have talked. Losing a friend wasn't something Hinata preferred. "Good morning, Sasuke-kun," greeted Hinata politely with a smile, walking closer to him. Sasuke's eyebrow raised a bit as he sensed happiness in her voice. "Good morning, Hinata-san," said Sasuke, devoid of emotions, but Hinata didn't mind. She knew he had his standards to keep up. "So, how are you lately?" "Good, very good," answered the Hyuga girl somewhat blindly. "How so?" questioned Sasuke, allowing his curiosity to take over. She then blushed before she could finish. That made Sasuke grin a bit. "I learned a new move." "Really?" He spoke with interest. "You should be proud of yourself for learning it now." "Thank you, Sasuke-kun." "What kind of technique is it?" "Sasuke-kun really gets into ninjutsu stuff," thought Hinata. "It'll be my little secret," replied Hinata teasingly. "I'll let you figure it out." "Come on, Hinata-san, you can tell me." "If I told you now, that would ruin the element of surprise if we sparred against each other." True, he was inclined to agree. "But that would be a low chance though. The chance of you fighting me would be 1 out of 29. I'm doing everything I can just in case that drastic thing does happen," she stated with a smile. The two teens then just laughed a bit, making their friendship grow. Iruka smiled at the scenario that was displayed in front of him. He had to admit, Hinata was a special girl since she was the only girl who Sasuke had ever opened up to. It was probably the fact that she was quiet and never bothered the Uchiha boy like his fan club did. Friendship was indeed a complex thing. It wasn't always something that meets the eye. Time goes on. As time passed, more and more students began to arrive in groups or by themselves. Soon enough the classroom was filled with people. The Hyuga girl knew it was her time to leave since some of the fangirls were starting to annoy their beloved Sasuke-kun. At that time, it was time for the Uchiha to ignore them with the best of his ability. Won't they ever give up? Thought Hinata, smiling at that thought. The raven hair ninja gave looks of annoyance while Hinata just giggled at. She knew his pain well, and it was something that even she didn't want. Hinata gave her friend a slight nod before she made her way somewhere else. Sasuke simply smirked. If he responded, the fangirls would become even more irritating since Hinata would be getting the attention the fangirls desperately wanted. If there was some way to get out of this, I would, thought the Uchiha dreadfully. "Yes, goal!" shouted 2 girls as they rushed into the classroom suddenly. One of them had long pink hair, and the other one with lengthy blonde hair. It was clear to anyone they were racing to beat each other again. It happened every day, it wasn't unusual. The Hyuga heiress then giggled to herself. "You're on your own, Sasuke-kun," she thought, laughing mentally, knowing those 2 girls were his number 1 fans. The raven hair boy then sighed in annoyance. It really wasn't his day. "What are you talking about, Sakura?" asked the blonde hair girl with blue eyes. "I got in here first." "Hell no," retorted the pink hair girl Sakura. "My toe entered the room first." "No you didn't, forehead girl." "Yeah I did, Ino pig." The two soon shot glares at each other. Everyone in the room could feel their dangerous aura. It was times like this if you didn't talk, no one would think you were mute. "Prove it." "I know you can't," said Ino calmly. "You and I both know who made it first, that would be me. Now would you please excuse me, since I won the race, I get to sit next to Sasuke-kun. Who gave you the right to decide? This is a first-come first-served basis. Who told you to lose?" Their argument was going nowhere. The 2 rivals just continued to bicker. To make it worse, they gradually bickered next to Sasuke, which literally drove him to his limits. If they paid close attention to Sasuke, they would see his eyebrows were constantly twitching. However, the fangirls were obviously too obsessed by his looks that no one could see that the boy was going to blow in any second. The pressure was on. The sounds were ringing in his ears like there was no tomorrow. The constant hyperactive activities were unbearable. He was being pushed way too far. "Class, listening up," said Iruka suddenly in front of the classroom, trying to gather the students' attention. "What a save," thought Sasuke, very relieved and even grateful. I received word from Hokage-sama that there would be a new student joining us today for the exam. A new student? Thought Hinata with interest. It better be a guy, thought Sakura. He better be cute. I seriously don't care who it is, said the raven hair boy mentally. He better be strong. Now I want you all to be on your best behavior. I don't want you to make fools of yourselves in front of him. Is that clear, sir? They exclaimed. Now Naruto, would you please come in? It's Naruto-kun, said Hinata in her mind delightedly. The door then slid open and a figure with a blindfold stood at the door emotionlessly. There was a powerful aura surrounding him. Iruka could feel it deep inside. Many whispers were made as the silver-haired boy walked slowly to his teacher standing next to him. The Death Knight ignored it and gave the class a good glance underneath his blindfold. By the looks he was receiving, they believed he was blind. As he took a glimpse at the higher areas, he was surprised to see Hinata there, and her face shined radiantly. He couldn't help but smile a bit. Would you like to introduce yourself to the class, Naruto? Suggested Iruka in a kind voice. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, it's a pleasure, said the mentioned person in a monotone. The last part sounded more like sarcasm than sincerity. Meanwhile, the Hyuga girl watched the boy admiringly with a shade of crimson on her cheeks. She never dreamed that Naruto would be in the same class as her. Yet, Hinata was confused why he was wearing a blindfold, for she didn't recall he had one yesterday. Was he actually blind and he didn't tell her? He didn't seem blind to her though. She knew that it wasn't nice to stare at people, but she couldn't help herself. The Hyuga girl just wanted to see him so badly. The feeling in her chest continued to beat faster when Naruto tilted his head towards her direction. She felt like he was piercing through her with his cerulean eyes. Her blush thickened and started to gaze on him once again. Naruto, said Iruka. Is there anything else you want the class to know? No, stated Naruto simply. Then there was a dead silence in the room. Well, then, continued Iruka, ending the awkward silence. How about you sit next to Hinata for the time being? I'm sure she would be a great help to know the people around here. The boy simply nodded and made his way up the stairs to where the Hyuga girl was. Whispers were being made as the Death Knight walked by them, such as, who is this guy? He looks kind of scary. He's cute. Not as cute as Sasuke-kun. The Dark Warrior just ignored those comments. He had no intention of caring what those people thought about him. As he approached Hinata, he saw she had that same charming expression on her face like a few minutes ago. Good morning, Naruto-kun, said Hinata timidly. Good morning, Hinata-chan, greeted the Death Knight politely, noticing her gaze. He looked away slightly, knowing he was going to blush. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? She asked innocently with her attractive look. Nothing, the Dark Warrior said, shaking it off. As Iruka explained the rules of the exam, he knew Hinata was watching him the entire time. He didn't want to look at her. Her gaze was somewhat even seductive, and nearly unable to reject. With his unholy sight activated, all of her actions told him that she liked him. He tried real hard to ignore it. Not too long later, after some boring lectures, the first part of the exam was the weapon accuracy test, which was a piece of cake to Naruto. When his name was called, he stood at a good 30-foot range and tossed every ninja weapon he had on him onto the target. What amazed the class was the fact all of them hit directly. In fact, the target had so many shurikens and kunais on it, the entire board shattered into pieces due to the force the Death Knight put into his throws. Some of the students' jaw dropped at the performance. Hinata knew he could do it no problem. After all, he did taught her the mana burn. The second test was the Bunshin test. To Naruto, who could do the Kage Bunshin with no problems, this test was an insult to his intelligence. However, in spite of how annoying it may be, he still had to do it. When Iruka called his name, the boy formed hand seals which weren't the Bunshin no Jutsu seals. Then, 10 Naruto Kage Bunshins were created as a result. The students' eyes turned as wide as grapefruits, other than Hinata, of course. At that time, Uchiha Sasuke was getting pretty impressed with the new kid. He seemed strong, thought Sasuke with a smirk. I would like to have a good challenge when the next test comes up. Please let him be my opponent, he wished. Hinata congratulated her friend for his success so far. Naruto simply acknowledged it with a smile. The final test, this was the real deal. This portion of the test holds a very high percentage of the students' overall mark. However, this test wasn't judged by the victor or the loser, for it was evaluated by how each side participated and how well each shinobi fought. In simpler terms, if one fought a great battle but lost in the end, the teachers would give the mark by overall performance. The first matchup was interesting, for it was Hyuga Hinata versus Haruno Sakura. Naruto just grinned at the result of the pair. Hinata will win, thought the silver-haired boy. It's over. Sakura charged at the Hyuga girl at high speed, trying to gain the first hit advantage. As she gave a kick, Hinata easily blocked it with her right arm. With the Byakugan activated, the Hyuga heiress could see that her opponent's chakra capacity wasn't all out impressive. She knew one shot of the mana burn would finish her off. After her train of thought, which lasted like 1 second in the real world, Hinata jumped back to achieve some distance. Iruka was surprised at the Hyuga girl's tactic, for she never needed distance. Her style of combat was hand-to-hand. There wouldn't be a need for her to attack from afar. Sakura didn't even care what her opponent was planning. She went straight to her throat, believing Hinata was too afraid to face her. However, as Sakura charged again, Hinata made a set of hand seals which no one was familiar of. then she fired the energy at Sakura's chakra organ. Mana burn! Exclaimed Hinata as she released a negative bolt of energy right at her opponent. The outcome of the match was clear to Naruto after that attack. Sakura didn't look like she was in pain, but Naruto could sense her chakra was all burned. The pink-haired girl was too drained to even have the strength to hold the area of where the beam hit her. The next second, she fell on her knees and collapsed. She no longer had the strength to even stand up. That was lame, thought Naruto bitterly. I'm glad she wasn't my opponent. Hinata, called Irika a little worried. What kind of technique did you use on Sakura? It's called mana burn, replied Hinata, timidly playing with her index fingers. Really? Where did you learn it? I learned it. She then glanced at Naruto, which shot her a weak glare telling her to keep her mouth shut. She agreed promptly at his decision. Well, that will be my little secret, Irika-sensei. Is that okay with you? Sure, answered Irika somewhat reluctantly. Would Sakura be okay though? I'm sure she would be fine, answered Naruto, stepping into the conversation. She's just low on chakra. She would be fine sooner or later. Then the dark warrior then carried the fainted in front of him and got her to a good place to rest. Hinata wished she was the one being carried though. She desired for that position Sakura was in right now. She couldn't help feeling a little jealous of her. After many boring matches later, Naruto was getting a little impatient. He had a very high tolerance level. It took a lot to piss him off. However, many of these students' performances were far from decent in his eyes. He was looking forward to some sit back and enjoy the ride entertainment, but now he just wanted to get the exam over with. At long last, Irika has called out the name Uzumaki Naruto, and his opponent was none other than Uchiha Sasuke. Both of them had a smirk across their face. The Uchiha boy was quite happy with his matchup. I'll be enjoying this battle, Naruto, growled Sasuke while smirking as the two walked into the center of the field. Is that so? Snapped Naruto, creating his preferred taijutsu stance. Enjoy it while it lasts. I'll enjoy it when I wipe that smirk off your face. At an instant, the Uchiha engaged the battle with the Death Knight. He prepared a fist and aimed it at Naruto's face. The blinded ninja smirked, and moved his body a step backward to allow Sasuke to whiz by. The raven hair boy then made a 90-degree spin to perform a hard kick. This time, Naruto bent his torso a little to evade the attack completely. Sasuke's eyes widened when he saw his opponent moved away like it was nothing. Impossible, stated the Uchiha boy in his mind with his eyes twitching. He then took out a kunai from his holder and continued his assault. The slashes didn't affect Naruto at all. He was dodging them effortlessly. To the students, it seemed like Sasuke was attacking like a mad idiot, and he seemed to be getting his target right where he wanted him. However, in reality Naruto was too quick for Sasuke. His moves were like moving in slow motion to the Uzumaki. If that was the case, there was no way the Death Knight would get hit. The outcome of this match was a dead giveaway already. It was then when Naruto went on to the offensive, he gave a snap kick right at the Uchiha's arm to knock away the kunai he was holding. Then he switched to his other foot and gave a kick at Sasuke's gut. Luckily Sasuke intercepted the kick in time. Even though he blocked it, it hurt. To make Naruto believe he wasn't affected by Naruto's kick, he grinned and formed a set of hand seals. Fire element, dragon fire no jutsu, exclaimed Sasuke as he breathed a powerful flame attack accurately at his target. A genin knowing that move, thought Naruto, leaping high into the air to avoid it. He's definitely impressive. However, a jutsu at that level wouldn't work on me. Seeing that his jutsu missed, Sasuke directed the blast upward. Naruto used his palm to create a strong chakra shield to deflect the attack. Sasuke then decided to use objects instead, but that proved to be useless as well. The chakra easily disintegrated it like thread. He's unharmed? How could this be? Naruto landed safely on the ground completely unharmed. It was time for him to end this game. He dashed at Sasuke with his best agility and gave a kick right at his chin, causing the Uchiha to soar several meters away. The Death Knight then went after his opponent, going straight for the kill. Naruto charged a powerful negative energy in his hand, hoping this would end the match. However, Sasuke wasn't someone who would just give up without a fight. The raven hair boy got back up swiftly and knew it was time for the big guns to come in. Sharingan, he said, activating his bloodline limit. The only chance he could beat him was to copy his exact movements and techniques. Naruto smirked as his opponent's naive beliefs, as if he would allow himself to let him copy his techniques and battle tactics. As if he would use a move in front of a Sharingan user that he could copy, the Death Knight obviously used another hidden technique. I won't let you! Shouted Naruto, suddenly vanishing. Irika couldn't even detect the presence of Naruto at that point. In the next second, the two teens were face to face. Naruto's hand made contact gently on Sasuke's chest, which was filled with a deathly energy. A loud sound of forced evaporation came from the assault. The Uchiha was gasping, trying to ease the pain, but to no avail. All he could do was cough and pant until he fell forward helplessly into his opponent's arms. Everyone in the audience gasped in utter shock and fear. They couldn't accept the fact a stranger would beat the lights out of Uchiha Sasuke, the #1 rookie. What surprised them was that Naruto accomplished what he did like it was one of the easiest things in the world. What the hell did you do to Sasuke-kun? Questioned Sakura, who woke up moments ago. What did you do to him, you blind freak? The Sasuke fan club were quite furious at the moment about two things. 1. Their mighty Sasuke lost to a blind guy. 2. he was holding Sasuke. Even though he wasn't doing anything yaoi, the fan club wished they were the ones who were holding him. Inner Sakura at the moment was shaking her fists very violently at Naruto. She was pissed beyond recognition. I don't have to answer you, replied Naruto, simply forming a set of rare hand seals. His hand glowed with a yellow energy, and rejuvenated his fallen opponent with it. He used the healing rejuvenation. Each passing second Sasuke seemed to become more lively. Naruto-kun, thought Hinata with a blush. You were amazing. I just drained his energy, explained Naruto, still concentrating his healing on the Uchiha. I hope that answers your question, lady. What kind of technique did you use on him, though? Asked Sakura curiously. I'd rather not say. Fine. Be that way, retorted Sakura. She was clearly still pissed. An angry Sakura was a dangerous Sakura. Every male took the precaution very seriously. Naruto, interrupted Iruka with a small cough. When will Sasuke wake up? He'll be up shortly, was Naruto's answer before he carried him to a safe spot. Time passes. Approximately 90 minutes later, Iruka finally got the Jounin instructors to pick out the teams of this year's graduates. Nearly all of them were surprised that the dropout Naruto managed to beat Uchiha Sasuke. Some of them said it must have been luck since Naruto didn't claim the title of the most unpredictable kid in Konoha. Deep down, Iruka knew it wasn't luck. The boy has drastically improved. His development certainly surprised him today. He has never seen anyone improve this much in such a short amount of time. It was either he worked really hard or he had natural talent. In truth, it was a good compromise of both. Due to the silver-hair boy's excellent performance, many of the Jounin instructors wanted to train him. However, there was one who already chose him, and his two teammates were definitely an interesting duo. Meanwhile, all the students were chatting amongst themselves, wondering if they did good enough on the exam to graduate. Most of them were very nervous about the results. It was only natural. Hinata was quite proud of herself today. Not only that she did well on the first two tests, she actually won the one-on-one combat test. Her happy expression and cheerfulness didn't go unnoticed by Naruto, who was watching her all along. He shook his head slightly, not knowing how Hinata could be so hyped up today. She was just proud of herself, that was what he kept reminding himself. It wasn't long before Hinata started to gaze on her admirer again. He quickly turned away at that split second, not wanting to get attracted by her eyes. For crying out loud, they were next to each other. The Hyuga girl couldn't stop herself from watching him. She just wanted to see him in her vision. Hinata-chan, said Naruto calmly, not looking at her, but inside he was quite nervous. Is there something you want? No, she answered dreamily. There's nothing. Is that so? He asked, sensing the soothing touch in her voice. Would you tell me why you're looking at me like that? Hinata's eyes snapped wide open. He could see me underneath that, thought the Hyuga heiress. I'm sorry, she apologized quickly, trying to hide her blushing cheeks. It's okay, Hinata-chan, no need to apologize. I was just too curious. I am going to fold if she keeps that up. What could I do? I couldn't complain about it. That pretty face of hers, she looks so cute, and oh, I can't think like that. I'm a Death Knight, not a womanizer, damn it. Is something wrong, Naruto-kun? Of course not, he lied with skill. You seem kind of nervous though. Am I? He asked dumbly. Maybe I was just too tense about the exam just now, that's it. Are you sure nothing is wrong? She asked again, not convinced with his answer. His eyes narrowed in disbelief. That girl could nearly see through him like glass. Well, she was his best friend. How did you do on the exam? He asked, changing the subject, hoping Hinata would buy it. I think I did okay. I passed all the tests perfectly. I think I should graduate no problem. But what, Hinata-chan? Well, you do know that we would be assigned to teams of 3, don't you? So, what are you implying? Asked the silver-haired boy dumbly. The Hyuga girl's eyes narrowed. Nothing much, she replied, blushing. Is that so? Is being on a team actually that great? It's the person that I want to be on the same team with. You dummy, said Hinata's inner self, shaking her fist. I want to be on the same team as you, silly. You do? Why wouldn't I? Don't tell me you're abandoning your friend now, Naruto-kun. I wouldn't do that, Hinata-chan. I would be glad if you are on my team. Whether we are together or not, promise that you will do your best. You don't want your teammates to be disappointed in you, do you? Hinata shook her head with a smile. You better do your best too, or I won't talk to you anymore. Joked Hinata with a giggle. Hey, I always do my best in everything. Countered Naruto, poking her cheek. She blushed immediately at his touch. Naruto just smiled at her trademark feature. Then soon, the two had a good laugh. Meanwhile, at another area of the classroom, and, I don't know girl talk, since I am a guy. I hope this is at least something like it. Just look at that new guy, said Sakura to Ino while taking glimpses of the Death Knight. He's already flirting with Hinata-san, and it's only the first time they met. I don't know, Sakura, mumbled Ino, trying to observe the situation. They seem to be getting along well, but not flirting-wise, and it seems like they know each other for some time already. Hey, you and I both know he's trying to hit on Hinata-san, stated the pink-haired girl sharply. Poor girl, she's so innocent, and that blind guy is seducing her already. I won't stand for it. Aren't you overreacting a little bit, Sakura? I mean, even if they are flirting, it's not really our business to care what Hinata-san is doing. Especially not that new guy. Has it occurred to you that Hinata-san attracts dark guys? What do you mean, Sakura? Asked Ino, confused. I mean, do you know Sasuke-kun is actually a friend of Hinata-san's? Sasuke-kun, having a friend who happens to be a girl. A girl, for crying out loud. Amongst every girl, why her? Who knows? Maybe hey, why is Hinata-san his friend while we the more attractive ones aren't? Come to think of it, that new guy over there is really like Sasuke-kun. He's dark, mysterious, quiet, collected, good-looking. Not as good-looking as Sasuke-kun, reminded Sakura. And I'm going to get him, not you. You can have the blind guy Naruto if you want. No way, Sakura, retorted Ino. Come to think of it, I don't think Naruto is blind. He's wearing a blindfold, he's got it to be blind. I got a feeling he could see things perfectly fine. You're just imagining things, Ino. Keep dreaming, assured Sakura. He couldn't see through a blindfold. Maybe you're right, said Ino, not too convinced. Based on what she saw, the boy's coordinations were too accurate. A blind person would never be able to do that. If Sakura said so, there was no point in continuing to argue. At that moment, Irika came to the center of the room. All right, my children, it has been finally confirmed that all of you have passed and allowed to become genins, explained Irika. It also means that each of you will be partnered with 2 other people, making a group of 3 with a jounin instructor to accompany you on your progress. A group of 3, thought the Uchiha boy. This is going to be quite a burden. I just hope I don't get any annoying girls on my team. I hope Naruto-kun would be on my team, said Hinata excitedly in her head at that thought. As long as I get Sasuke-kun on my team, anyone else would be fine other than Ino Pig, thought Sakura. I just want to get this thing over with, thought Naruto coolly. Now, the teams are organized equally based on each person's strengths and weaknesses, so no one has a team with any disadvantages. Continued Irika. Even, huh? Said Naruto to Hinata. I sense sarcasm already. Hinata just simply giggled, which made Naruto blush a slight shade of red. I will now announce the teams. Once your name is called, please come up and take your Konoha forehead protector. Now, Team 1 would be after some time of announcing, which was one of the most boring crap Naruto had to sit through listening. It was even lamer than Jiraiya talking about women. Team 7 will consist of Haruno Sakura. Sakura's head perked up. Hyuga Hinata, that caught Hinata's attention. And finally, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto sighed slightly while Hinata jumping for joy on the inside. What did you say? Was Sakura's response, which shattered many people's eardrums. Hinata grabbed on Naruto's right arm immediately due to that violent outburst. The demon boy blushed a bit at her sudden reaction. She looked so cute doing that. It was then when he slapped himself mentally not to enjoy this too much. He quickly paid attention to the now raging pink-haired girl and sweat dropped. Hinata giggled at his expression. It was just so amusing. Irika-sensei, I demand an explanation. Irika-sensei, screeched Sakura at the top of her lungs while standing. I have to team up with Naruto? This is an outrage. Sasuke, Hinata and especially Naruto's sweat dropped. Sasuke really didn't want to hear any more girly screeches and anything similar that day. He had enough trouble facing the fact he lost to Naruto, the new guy. The Uchiha didn't hate the Death Knight. He saw him more as a worthy rival and possibly a friend, since they had nearly the same personality. Better yet, Naruto was Hinata's friend, making them have the same thing in common. Hinata was basically holding on to her friend's hand tightly and excitedly. Any smart person would know this was the happiest thing that happened to the cute Hyuga heiress. Naruto could obviously see that. The Death Knight shook his head a little, trying to recover from that sudden shock. At the same time, he was curious of what Irika had to say about Sakura's protest. Well, Sakura, began Irika with a slight cough. Hinata has to be on his team too. I don't see her having any problems with it, that's unless she has a problem with it as well. Oh, Hinata-san, begged Sakura. Please say that you have a problem with this so the 2 of us could switch teams. Anyone could see Sakura wanted to increase her chance to be on the same team as Sasuke. But the raven-haired genin didn't give a crap about what was happening. To be honest, he didn't even notice. Hinata shook her head slightly, giving a no reply to Sakura. The pink-haired girl was enraged. However, she won't back down without a decent fight. Why do I mean we have to team up with a blind person anyway? There will be uncertainties in the future that his disability would be our downfall. It's unfair. Then Naruto started to laugh. Sakura-chan, said Naruto with a smile. I'm not blind. He then took off his blindfold to reveal his eyes weren't damaged in any way. Sakura gasped in awe. He had the most beautiful eyes she had ever seen, so pure, so gentle, ever so attractive. His cerulean eyes matched his look perfectly. She couldn't help but feeling lost while looking at him. Satisfied? Sakura nodded, with a faint blush on cheeks as the Death Knight tied the blindfold back on, covering his eyes. He's cute, thought the Emerald Eye girl. Do you still have any problems with your team, Sakura? Asked Irika, trying to get her attention. The girl shook her head blindly in response and sat back down. She was still looking at Naruto in shock. He was handsome. Without further ado, Team 8 would consist of Uchiha Sasuke, Inuzuka Kiba and Aburame Shino. Meanwhile, what, I don't get teamed up with Sasuke-kun? Exclaimed Ino angrily yet silently. Whatever, Ino, said Shikamaru lazily. What's so good about him anyway? At least Sakura didn't get him, that's all that matters. Yeah, keep thinking that so you would shut up about your ranting. Who would want to team up with you anyway? Retorted Ino. Do you know why no girl likes you? How would I know? I'm not a girl. Ino's eyebrow twitched in anger at Shikamaru's response. They did this really often, but Ino never got used to it. Team 10, continued Irika. Yamanaka Ino, Naro Shikamaru. Ino fumed even more at the fact she had to team up with Shikamaru. Outside she was angry, but inside she had a comfortable feeling being able to be with someone she knew very well. Shikamaru just yawned, not caring at all. And Akemichi Tsuji, that would be all for teams. Now please meet your jounin instructors at the place they designated for you to meet them. Class will be dismissed and I wish you all good luck on your teams. Irika said that and left the room. Soon, Naruto found out the meeting place they had was in this room. As most of the people left the room to their designated areas, Naruto moved down up front to rest with Hinata following him, trying to give him a soft embrace. Naruto stopped as Hinata made contact with his body. Hinata-chan? He asked, a little startled by her actions. She felt his body stiffen a little. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, apologized Hinata, stuttering with words. I'm just so happy that you're on my team. You've been hiding your excitement, haven't you, Hinata-chan? Questioned Naruto teasingly. She nodded, smiling. She knew he could read her like a book, she couldn't hide anything. Anyway, I'm glad you're on my team too. He then looked over to Sakura, who sat there alone looking at nothing in particular. Should we invite her to come over? Suggested Hinata. Maybe we should. Hey, Sakura-san, called Hinata no louder than a whisper, since she thought Sakura was still mad at her for beating her during the final test. In truth, the Emerald Eye girl wasn't. Hinata's voice caught the girl's attention. We were wondering if you would like to chat with us? Sure, replied Sakura, happily skipping down to their level. I really haven't introduced myself, have I? Said Naruto, politely offering his hand for a handshake. I am Uzumaki Naruto. I'm Haruno Sakura, said the mentioned person, returning the handshake. You don't have to be that formal with me, Naruto. We are teammates after all, I insist. Hinata-chan, and you could be like my senpais in this place since you girls have been here for so long. Besides, Jiraiya-sensei told me this is a good way to know one another. What a guy, thought the two girls. May I ask you something? Ask ahead, be my guest. Why do you wear a blindfold? Asked Sakura, blushing while remembering his clear eyes. I mean, you look so good without it. Good? Amongst every word you have to use good? Screamed inner Sakura. Now he would think you're a weirdo. That'll be my little secret for now. Eventually I will tell you why. I'll say two things. I can see you right now, and this blindfold isn't a phony. He then started to untie his blindfold to reveal his eyes again for the second time. However, as he removed it, his eyes shined a bit of teal before turning back to blue. Both girls spotted this sudden change but decided to keep quiet for now. Try it, Sakura-chan. Who allowed you to call me Sakura-chan? Asked the pink-haired genin teasingly while taking the object. You don't like it? I could call you Sakura-san instead. No, you can call me that if you want, replied the girl with a blush. Sakura-chan sounds fine coming from you. Thanks for saying so. Naruto noticed the blush and wanted to smile since it looked real cute on her, but on the other hand, he didn't want to make Hinata feel upset, as Sakura wrapped the cloth around her eyes and she couldn't see anything. Hinata then gave it a shot. She activated her bloodline ability, the Byakugan. She could see through it then very clearly. She figured out it must have been something about his eyes that made him see through it. She handed back to the Death Knight, and he quickly tied it back on his head with his forehead protector on top covering it a little. This guy is really good looking and a lot more of a gentleman than Sasuke-kun, thought Sakura. Naruto-kun, I hope you tell me what those eyes of yours really are on day, said Hinata to herself in thought. She wanted to know everything about him, and he obviously could tell. I know you want to know, but I really don't know how you would react after knowing my heritage. The silver-haired genin sighed at that thought, and then took out a kunai for entertainment. It has been 20 minutes since the trio started waiting. All three of them decided to sit in the open area of the classroom. Naruto could feel the presence of the other genins already leaving the premises. His eyes showed him Sasuke's team left with a beautiful young female jounin with red eyes and Ino's team left with a man with a dark beard. What was Team 7 doing? They were still waiting for their jounin instructor. Hinata soon grew tired as she began to feel drowsy. Looks like she was still pretty worn out from yesterday, thought Naruto, seeing her yawn a little. Unknowingly, she fell asleep on the male genin's lap. The dark warrior's eyebrow raised a bit at the Hyuga girl's sudden action. He smiled at her while she closed her eyes, breathing softly. He didn't know why, but he ran his hand through her silky hair. It was smooth, comfortable, and the girl blushed when she felt his touch. He removed his own jacket and covered his friend's so she wouldn't catch a cold. As he took off his jacket, he showed off his arms, which were attractive to the emerald-eyed girl. She could melt at the sight. He was very well built, not ridiculously wise but still very manly and appealing. Somehow, he looked at his bandaged right arm. Something caught her eye. On his upper arm, there were brown stains on it. It was dried blood. She wondered what happened. Naruto-kun, murmured the Hyuga girl, nuzzling closer to the boy. Sleep well, Hinata-chan. Naruto called Sakura nervously. What is it, Sakura-chan? Asked Naruto, turning his head around with a smile. Don't be so nervous around me. I won't hurt you. That's unless you want me to, but I won't know why. She giggled at that remark. I know you won't. I just want to ask what happened to your arm. This? he asked looking at it. Yeah, it looked like a lot of blood came from it. It did, Sakura-chan. But don't worry about it too much, it's not like the fact it happened to you. Mind if you tell me what happened? It's a little embarrassing if you know what I mean. Oh, tell me. The pink-hair girl begged with puppy eyes. However, the Death Knight was one who could withstand that kind of begging. His little sister did it so many times that he learned how to resist it. I promise I won't laugh. Well, I'll tell you, but I'm still very certain that you would laugh anyway, said Naruto with a chuckle. Okay, it happened several days ago when I was doing my daily training. I was doing those upside-down sit-ups, you know, when I hang upside down, and it takes more effort, but the training was worth it. So anyway, I did that for about an hour or so. I was still fresh, but that's where Jiraiya-sensei came in. In his point of view, it looked like that I fell into a trap and I tried to get myself out of it. But you clearly weren't, correct? Being the dumbass that he is, he really thought I fell into a trap, so he decided to help me. Instead of coming to me directly, he tried to free me by tossing a kunai, hoping to break the ropes. Due to his old eyesight, he missed and the weapon struck through my right arm. Did it hurt? Asked the pink-haired genin, holding his arm, examining the wound. What do you think? Hell, it did. If you value your life, don't let any dumbass be your sensei. Sakura giggled and Naruto smiled in return. Thanks for telling me, Naruto. And I want to apologize for what I did earlier. You mean talking behind my back and how you didn't want to be on my team? He questioned with a grin. The girl yelped. She couldn't believe he knew. All she could do was nod slightly with guilt. The Death Knight gave her a pat on the shoulder which startled her. It's okay, Sakura-chan, things happen. The girl gave a warm smile back. She was happy she was forgiven. It was a good start for this team, as long as their instructor arrived, that is. Several irritating hours later, Naruto was on a verge to demolish something. 2 long boring hours has passed. Hinata was still sleeping sweetly, resting her head on Naruto's lap while Sakura was sleeping next to him. The Death Knight sighed, for he was getting tired himself. Then, he started to brush Hinata's hair without knowing. As he revealed that pretty face of hers, he was sort of in a trance. Hinata-chan is really pretty, he thought. Wait, what am I doing? Damn, Jiraiya's influence is starting to get to me, must fight it, I can't think like that. But Hinata-chan is very pretty. She has a nice body too, small waist, good hips, and oh, what the hell am I thinking? I am Naruto, I am not a pervert. Hinata-chan is your friend, so stop thinking about her like that. While Naruto was battling with himself, as if on K, someone opened the door to break his thoughts. He really needed that. Yo! Called a man with gray hair with a green jounin vest. Naruto, being the only person awake at the moment, gave the jounin an unsatisfied look. The silver-haired genin observed him closely as he took on step into the room. The guy was tall. He wore his forehead protector in a tilted fashion that covered his left eye. As if that wasn't mysterious enough, he wore a dark-colored face mask that covered obviously his face and his down to his neck. What's the matter with his face? Thought Naruto. Hey, was I disturbing something? Not at all, replied an annoyed Naruto. He wasn't pleased that his teacher was this late. You know, you look real cute with those 2 girls next to you. Be quiet, human, snapped the only male genin in the room. Great, thought the jounin. I thought I picked a real good student, but who knew that he was blind? Hey, I'm not blind. The gray-haired jounin's visible eye opened a little bit more than usual. He was quite surprised. Aren't you going to wake those 2 up? I don't like to waste time. We waited for you for over 2 hours, 5 more minutes wouldn't make much of a difference. As Naruto took a glimpse at the jounin standing several feet away from him, he didn't like what he saw. Judging by the way the gray-haired man was looking at Sakura and Hinata, he must have been thinking how lucky he was to have 2 pretty girls to supervise. With that action alone, the Dark Warrior knew his instructor was a pervert. He sighed inwardly and decided to wake the girls up. Hinata-chan, Sakura-chan, wake up, he said, shaking them both gently. Their eyes started to open just to see Naruto's smile. Hinata blushed like a strawberry, realizing her head was on Naruto's lap while Sakura rubbed her eyes from the tiring feeling. You're late, shouted the pink-haired genin, loudly pointing her finger at the one visible-eyed jounin. That burst of output startled the crap out of her teammates. Maybe only Hinata. Yeah, sorry, explained the jounin, scratching the back of head with a nervous chuckle. You see, I was lost in the road of life and… Liar! Yeah, he coughed. Whatever, I want some fresh air, let's go on to the roof. With that, he vanished in a puff of smoke. Sakura groaned with irritation and stomped her way to the roof while Naruto formed a set of hand seals and disappeared in a warp. The lavender-eyed girl blinked with confusion, not knowing where her friend went. It didn't matter too much since her Byakugan showed her he was on higher ground. The 2 girls made it on the roof moments later just to find the 2 males glaring at each other, not exactly enjoying each other's presence. Sensei asked Hinata shyly. Is everything okay? Yeah, we're cool, said the jounin, breaking eye contact with Naruto. A pretty girl like you shouldn't be worrying so much. That comment made the Hyuga heiress blush and look to the ground, trying to hide it from the guys. The Death Knight muttered pervert under his breath and made his way to his teammates. The instructor sat on the railing so he could see all his students with his visible eye. He grinned under his mask, knowing this would be a very interesting team. So, we should start with an introduction. Tell me your names, likes, dislikes and goals in the future. This would help all of us know each other better. Maybe we could start with you, Sensei, suggested Sakura. We don't even know who you are. Fine, I am Hitaki Kakashi. I like a lot of things which is my secret and for you to find out. I dislike a lot of things too, but I have no intention of telling you. My dreams are none of your concern. The three genins' eyes narrowed. After what Kakashi has said, he told them nothing other than his name. One thing was for certain, Naruto knew Kakashi was a pervert, and he liked being one. Me, my turn! Exclaimed Sakura. I am Harino Sakura, I am 13. I like Sasuke-kun, shouted inner Sakura happily. My dream is to be with Sasuke-kun. Hell yeah, thought her inner self yelling victoriously. I don't dislike many things, other than Ino Pig maybe. After that introduction, Naruto just laughed silently since he heard every word inner Sakura said. He found it amusing. What's so funny, Naruto-kun? Asked Hinata, tugging his arm to get his attention. Sakura looked at him blankly. Nothing, answered the silver-haired genin, shaking it all off quickly. It's your turn, Hinata-chan. Okay, I'm Hyuga Hinata, age 12. I like many things such as my cousin, and she then looked at Naruto with a slight blush and quickly looked away. I also like people who are supportive. She glanced at the Death Knight again with an even more noticeable blush. I dislike my family for rejecting me. That caught everyone's attention. Naruto clearly saw what she meant. My dream is to be with the person I admire. Who's this person? Questioned Sakura in a joking tone. The Hyuga girl had a lot of trouble maintaining her words clear. At that time, Naruto knew Hinata was secretly signaling for help. She'll tell you when she's ready, said Naruto, not wanting Hinata to feel obligated to answer that question. Now, I am Uzumaki Naruto. Kakashi's eye twitched a little when he heard his name, especially Uzumaki. He couldn't believe there was a survivor of that traitorous clan. He remained calm successfully, not wanting his students know his worries. I'm 12, turning 13 sooner or later. I like ramen, my true friends and my little sister, and in OC, you'll know about her later, she does show up in this story. Who lives in the hidden village of Air. I dislike perverts, yeah, Kakashi and Jiraiya, he thought. And overconfident imbeciles. I don't have much of a dream, maybe just to follow my father's footsteps. Good, said Kakashi. Now, before I accept you all as genins, there would be a test tomorrow that you three must complete. If you pass, you three would officially be on my team. Why do we need to do that? Asked Sakura rather quickly. Didn't we pass the genin exam already? Added Hinata, feeling worried. You guys will cry out what I have to say, said Kakashi, chuckling. Just say it, demanded Naruto, not finding his humor funny. I have no time for games. Fine. The test you will be completing tomorrow would have a 66% chance failing system. What? The three genins gasped in unison with Naruto's more of a statement. The reason to this is that only 9 genins out of the original 27 students from the graduate class could be official genins after every graduation. The rest would be sent back to the academy and try again next year, explained the jounin, rather amused. We can't have that many jounins being occupied with kids since we need to do missions as well to maintain the prosperity of Konoha. Obviously, those who aren't worthy would be sent back unquestioned. Oh yeah, if one of you don't show up tomorrow, I have no choice but to fail the entire team. Not like you three would pass anyway, thought Kakashi evilly. Don't worry, Kakashi, said Naruto without adding sensei deliberately. We'll be there. Glad to hear that. The meeting place will be the open area in the forest where the memorial statue is located. Arrive there at 7 a.m. and be on time. The rest of the day is yours to rest and prepare. Ja. As soon as Kakashi finished, he disappeared in a cloud of smoke. The Death Knight didn't waste any time either. Once his instructor left, he made his way to the exit door. Naruto-kun, wait! Called a timid voice, causing the boy to turn around. The person was none other than Hinata. What is it, Hinata-chan? Asked the silver-haired genin. I was just wondering. The girl was extremely nervous. Wondering if I want have ramen with you? Asked the boy, finishing her sentence with a grin on his face. Yes, would you like to go with me? I mean, you don't have to if you already have plans. I'll understand. Her anxiety level was above the charts, and she was blushing like a cute cherry. Her small hands playing with her index fingers really made her look adorable. The heiress closed her eyes nervously, hoping Naruto wouldn't say anything mean. Instead, she felt a hand on her shoulder. I would love to go with you, said the dark warrior with a genuine smile. You would? Her eyes were sparkling with delight. Yeah, it'll be my treat. No, you can't do that. You treated me to dinner last night. It's only fair if I paid this time. She stated clearly with no stuttering whatsoever. How did we solve conflicts when we were kids? He asked, trying to remember. We never had any conflicts. How about we play rock, paper, scissors? Winner decides? Deal. Both of them then took out their fists and prepared for the duel of the century. Poor little boys, always pick rock, thought Hinata sinisterly. Yep, good old rock, nothing beats rock, said Naruto confidently in his head. As they counted to 3, they showed their result. Paper, said Hinata. Scissors, said the other. You thought I was going to pick rock and Hinata-chan? That's not fair, exclaimed Hinata, blushing. Not fair? He asked in disbelief. You are getting a free lunch. I wouldn't complain if I were you. I suppose you're right, she admitted in defeat. The boy smiled a little and gave a quick farewell to Sakura before taking off. It would be rude to just leave without saying goodbye. After the two friends left, Sakura just sighed knowing she had no place to go, so she decided to head home and prepare herself for tomorrow. Moments later at Ichikaru's ramen. "Yo, Mr. Ichikaru," greeted Naruto putting a grin on his face. "You still remember me?" The owner of the shop and his daughter Ain, and, if that is her name, tell me. "I don't really remember." Took a close observation. They never recalled serving anyone who was blind before. However, judging by Naruto's voice, he seemed to know them. Feeling somewhat uncomfortable by the stares the Death Knight was getting, he realized why they didn't recognize him. Maybe this would help. He then removed his blindfold to show them his cerulean eyes. The store workers gasped in awe. "Naruto," said Ain, lightening up with surprise. "Is that really you?" The boy gave a nod along with a small grin. "We haven't seen you in ages. The last time I saw you I was like 10. "Yeah, I know. Where have you been all this time?" questioned Mr. Ichikaru with curiosity. "Training for 7 years, nothing special." "Enough about me. I want a bowl of shrimp ramen if I may." "Sure you can, but what about that young lady behind you?" A sudden realization struck Naruto as he remembered his friend was here too. He nearly forgot about her. "Hinata-chan, I'm sorry. I forgot you were here," he apologized with guilt. The girl shook her head slightly. "It's okay, Naruto-kun, I'm just glad to be here," she said kindly. "My heart is beating so fast I can't believe Naruto-kun is treating me 2 days in a row. This is heaven, I think I'm going to faint." "Hinata-chan," Naruto spoke with a quiet laugh. "I can hear your heartbeat from here." "Eh?" The girl then placed her hand to her heart. Holy, it was beating fast, a little too fast. Knowing that was a bad thing for the girl, the boy embraced her gently, telling her to relax from time to time. His unexpected contact startled the Hyuga girl at first, but when she found out he was trying to help, she couldn't help herself but to hug him back. When he assumed she was okay, he broke the embrace, which made the girl let out a silent groan of annoyance and disappointment. "You okay now?" "Yeah, if you didn't relax and calm down, you would have died of high blood pressure," he stated as a joke. "Thank you, Naruto-kun, may I have the same thing as you?" "Fine. We'll have 2 shrimp ramen then," said the Death Knight to the owner. "No problem," replied Ain, then giving Naruto an evil smile. "Naruto, you sure have a way to deal with your girlfriend," she teased amusingly. Hinata blushed like mad when she heard that G-word, but the cerulean-eyed boy didn't react at all. "Let's drop that subject," he stated calmly. Ain just shrugged and went with the flow. Within several minutes, their orders arrived. In another few minutes, the dark shinobi consumed all the food. It was somewhat scary, but he was never the person who liked to take their time on things unless he really had to. Naruto sat in silence where Hinata slowly ate hers and took glimpses at him whenever he wasn't looking, which was often. "His eyes are so beautiful," thought the heiress dreamily. "I could look at it all day long and won't get sick of it. He's kind, gentle, considerate, sincere, good-looking. Any girl would fall for him." Even the whisker marks on his face became more faint. "He's so nice to me. When can I tell him my true feelings? He's in front of me. We are alone. Should I confess to him? What if he rejects me because I am too forward? If he hates me afterwards, what would I do? I can't let that happen. I just can't." At that exact moment, Naruto was having thoughts of his own. His master wanted a little chat with him. "Hello, Death Knight," called a voice in his head. It was a girl, a beautiful young girl. "Master, what brings you here at a time like this?" asked Naruto, a bit surprised. "Call me Kyubi-chan, my little dark one." Kyubi, the demon within Naruto, was his master. The one who granted him dark powers beyond imaginable and the Runeblade Knight's shadow. "And I made Kyubi into a girl, no specific reason, I just felt it would be better this way." "Kyubi-chan doesn't sound like something an apprentice would call to his master." "Don't think of me as your master, think of me as your friend," said the fox in her humanoid form, giving him a cheerful grin. "Whatever," he stated. "Still, what brings you here at this time?" "Nothing. Watching you score with girls is something very entertaining," she answered with a smirk. "When did I try to flirt with girls? Don't deny it, my little dark one. What kind of ideas are you trying to give me? I am a Death Knight, not a women magnet. I was never one and I don't intend to start now." "Sure, whatever you say," she said, not too convinced. "I have to say, unlike all the Death Knights, I don't seem to have lost my mind from your influence. I should be following your every command and obey them without question. I am a warrior, for crying out loud. I need your guidance to my vengeance." "Naruto," she said seriously, "I don't need you to do anything reckless. My powers are yours to keep, but not for you to do something like a massacre. You are the last of the Uzumaki clan. I don't want to ruthlessly sacrifice you. You've shown me kindness even in the most crucial moments in life. You changed me. I won't allow my old ways to take over you. Remember what I told you. Yeah, you and I are one. You feel what I feel. There are so many times I wish I did the right thing. I should never have tempted a kind soul like yourself," Kyubi admitted with much guilt. "What do you mean?" he asked with concern. "I should have never tempted you. I should have allowed you to know how to fight the darkness within yourself so you would become a paladin. Now you are a hated Death Knight. Don't worry about it, Kyubi-chan. If I was a paladin, I don't think I would like it as much. You see good in everything, don't you?" "No, I don't." "There's nothing for you to regret about. It was my decision," he said reassuringly. "You were only 6 back then. I should never have done this to you. Your physical corruption, your demonic blood, your deathly demonic chakra, the Death Knight's powers have truly turned you into a half-demon. I am responsible for ruining your life. She was basically yelling at this point. You didn't ruin my life, Kyubi-chan. He then grabbed her shoulders, looking directly in her eyes. Look, I am glad you gave me those powers. I was too young back then to handle my own problems, and chose the wrong way to achieve a solution. That's why I was tempted. It's not your fault, it's what demons do, Naruto, she cried and started to sob on his chest. I'm so sorry. Kyubi-chan, don't cry, it's not good for your apprentice to see you like this, he said calmly. You have no idea how guilty I feel, she continued to cry. It's all my fault. I can't let it go. There, it's okay. He then rubbed her back, trying to bring his master back together. You became a half-demon because of me. I'm not worthy of your kindness. I should rot in hell for doing something like this, she said, bitterly cursing herself every second that passed by. Kyubi-chan, listen to me, ordered the Death Knight, losing part of his patience. If I didn't have this power, I would have never been able to save Jiraiya or my sister's lives. I thank you, master. The powers of this dark warrior is perfect for me. My vengeance is yours. I accepted this power willingly in the past, and I take full responsibility of it. I wanted this power for my revenge. Konoha will pay for what they did to me. Don't set your heart on vengeance, Naruto, just forget about it, live your life as happily as you can. I can't do that, he replied angrily. I am no paladin, these fools have nothing to do with me. What about Hinata? Asked Kyubi suddenly. What would she think about that? Why did you bring her up? Answer my question, Naruto. She's my friend, my only true friend. He answered without further questions. I'm certain she won't like it if she sees you in your most powerful demonic form. You don't mean? Yes, I am, she said seriously. Your vengeance is too great, Naruto. That dark spirit within yourself, feed on that hate and resentment. Don't allow it to take over you, or you would face a case of the metamorphosis. There is another way for the metamorphosis to occur? He asked worriedly. She nodded slowly. Could my vengeance go that far, as if that could happen? Of course it could. I can't allow Hinata-chan be in danger, he said, realizing what his master was getting at. If you live a life with the goal of hatred, you have no idea how much more blood would be stained on your hands, reminded the demon master cautiously. How do I thin out this vengeance? Asked Naruto, wanting a solution. You could start with a smile every morning instead of shattering your poor alarm clock, suggested Kyubi. That's a pretty tall order. Can I start with a smirk and work my way up? That alone resulted in immediate death glare from his master. The Death Knight's sweat dropped. Fine, you win. I'll try to smile, okay? Kyubi smiled happily while her apprentice sighed in exhaustion. Thanks anyway, master. Call me Kyubi-chan, my little dark one. She giggled as she gave him a hug. Sure thing. Hinata is calling you, Naruto. Treat her as the most precious person in your life. That sounds awfully familiar. What did you mean by that? You'll find out soon enough. I'll find you later. As Kyubi finished her sentence, she slowly vanished, bringing back the Death Knight to reality. Meanwhile, Naruto-kun, said Hinata, shaking his arms slightly. Are you okay? What is it? He asked coldly, still trying to regain his focus in reality. You didn't respond when I called you for over a minute. Sorry, I was just in deep thought. I must have been in another zone. I thought you were dead. You didn't blink. Your pulse was a lot slower than before. Don't scare me like that. Die. Me? He asked, amused. Get real. Death Knights don't die that easily. Death Knight? She questioned, confused. What is that? The silver-haired boy then realized he said the wrong thing at the wrong time. Nothing, Hinata-chan, he said, trying to change the subject. Looks like you're done your meal. Let's get going. However, Hinata gave a firm grip on his arm, not allowing him to leave. Hinata-chan, what are you doing? Naruto-kun, tell me who you are, she demanded softly. I've so many questions I want to ask you, please tell me. It's none of your business, Hinata-chan, he snapped rudely. Naruto-kun, I'm your friend, you can trust me. I miss you so much. Can I at least know what happened to you all these 7 years? How you became this strong? Why is your hair silver, and why are your attacks all so death-like? Naruto's eyes widened a bit hearing her last question. You saw my move, the death coil? He asked, raising his eyebrow. I saw you after I drank the stuff you gave me. What was that death coil anyway? It's my healing technique, Hinata-chan. It looked more like death itself has devoured you. It was scary. How could you call that healing? I felt better afterwards. That's all that matters, okay? No, it's not. Who are you anyway? He saw the emotional pain in her eyes when she asked him. He couldn't bear to watch it. The last thing he ever wanted to do was to hurt his best friend. By not telling her, he was hurting her. Despite how much he didn't want to tell her, he had to say something. In the end he gave in, but he decided he would tell her only a little bit. I am a Death Knight, one who accepted power from my master, and what she wanted was my loyalty. It's the least I could do. She granted me plenty of very rare hidden techniques that she possesses, and she is still giving me more today. More importantly, she gave me this rune blade and forged most of the techniques in here. He then took out his blade from his sheath. This weapon here contains much more magic than you can imagine. This thing has become part of me. a critical object in my life that I can't live without. You possess one of those hidden moves as well, Hinata-chan. The mana burn is something my master taught me. You know, this blade was forged with pure chakra. Pure chakra? Is that why you could execute moves with this blade? She asked curiously. Exactly. I could feel a dark aura coming out of this blade. I am worried about you. Well, I could execute my hidden techniques with or without this blade. However, there are some attacks that I have to use this to cast, like my trademark techniques, he explained. Can I learn it? My hidden techniques? Sure thing, but my trademark moves you can't learn it. In fact, I can't even teach you because you don't have the blood, just like how I can never learn the Byakugan. You like it if I taught you some more useful moves in the future? I would like that, do you promise? I wouldn't lie. He stated, simply giving her a grin. Okay, but your energies are so dark, though I am afraid it may hurt you in some way, she said in a worried expression which made Naruto sigh a bit. I've wielded for 6 years, Hinata-chan, I can control it fine. I trust you, Naruto-kun. She certainly had a lot of faith in her admirer. Somehow, she knew he would be just fine. Naruto was just glad Hinata didn't find anything suspicious even though he didn't tell her the entire truth. However, the Hyuga girl knew there was a lot more Naruto wasn't telling her, but she decided to drop it for the time being. She didn't want Naruto to feel pressured into doing something he didn't want to do. Hinata-chan, we have a big day ahead of us, we should get going. She agreed, giving a nod as Naruto paid the bill. As the two walked together down the streets of Konoha back to the Hyuga estate, Hinata wanted to hold the boy's hand. But Naruto played dumb and pretended not to know what she was trying to do when he clearly did. The heiress was disappointed at that. Seeing her semi-pouting expression, Naruto couldn't help but chuckle to himself. Once the lavender-eyed girl was escorted home safely, the Death Knight bid a short farewell and walked back to his place to rest so he would be 100 ready for the task ahead. While walking, he smiled as he remembered that smiling face of his best friend. She looked radiant and sincere. That was a face he wanted to witness from her ever since he was young. Whenever Hinata smiled, it always seemed so depressing. When she was with him, she would smile like an angel from the heavens. It was so beautiful that no one could resist. Smiling again, he looked back at the Hyuga mansion over his shoulder. His grin became wider when at the corner of his eye he saw Hinata's head sticking out slightly. He knew she was watching him. Not blowing her cover, Naruto simply continued walking with a smile still plastered on his visage. Good night, Hinata-chan, he said in his mind as he melded into the dark shadows of the night. The very early morning in the Harino residence. The morning of the important event arrived a lot faster than expected. Sakura woke up from her sleep, which felt only like several minutes. She glanced at her pink alarm clock. It said 6 a.m. After a quick yawn, she made her way to the bathroom and did her daily routines. And, I won't even bother telling you what they are. What would a girl do in the bathroom? There is only so much a teenage girl would do. As soon as she got dressed, she made her way to the kitchen and fixed herself a quick breakfast so she wouldn't starve to death later on the day. When she finished her last bite, she rushed out of her house without saying goodbye to her parents, since they weren't awake yet. Not like she really cared, they talked too much anyway. She observed the early morning of Konoha. It was quite empty at that time. Some of the shops were starting to open and there were some ANBUs on guard duty. Sakura ignored them and decided to head to the training grounds at the time the team was expected to arrive. By the time she made it to the forest safely, her watch told her it was 6:45. She was early, so she might as well wait for the other two. Suddenly, she heard something. It sounded like the sounds of combat. Who would be fighting at a time like this? She asked herself while walking towards the direction of where the noises came from. She soon found herself near the edge of an open area. There was a memorial there. That must have been the place Kakashi was talking about. What caught her attention was actually the two people who were dueling. It was Naruto and a replication of himself. It was an interesting match. Both of them were evenly matched. Wow, she thought, blushing while hiding behind a tree timidly. He seems so strong like that. He's so cool. The real Death Knight then unexpectedly tossed his blade right at where Sakura was hiding once he sensed an unknown presence. With his eyes, he should have been able to recognize it was Sakura, but since he never sensed her chakra fully, he thought it was an enemy. The blade struck the tree hard, causing it to shake a bit. Sakura knew she was spotted at that point. She might as well reveal herself to him. Who's there? Questioned Naruto immediately as he attracted his blade back to his hand. It's just me, Naruto said, Sakura coming from behind the tree showing herself. Sakura-chan? He asked, quite surprised. What are you doing here so early? Early? You should know it's nearly 7, Naruto. Is it? She nodded with a smile. Suddenly, he felt kind of awkward. I'm sorry for what I just did. I thought you were an enemy. Forget it. I shouldn't have been spying on you like that. Spying? He asked with a visible grin. A blush then crept on her face. I mean, her face was hot at this time. I mean, you were training so hard, so I didn't want to disturb you until you were done. I am sorry. The Death Knight simply gave her a smile. I understand what you meant, Sakura-chan. Thanks for being considerate. The pink-haired girl just blushed and attempted to hide her flushed face. Of course, this didn't go unnoticed. Why were you here so early? She asked shyly. Naruto raised an eyebrow as Sakura sounded a lot like Hinata when she talked to him. Sakura-chan is just feeling too awkward from what she said, he thought. I was training just now. I'm sorry that I interrupted your training, she apologized quickly. Don't be. Well, I think you shouldn't have came so early this morning. You don't like my company? I could leave if you want. Why is she talking like Hinata all of a sudden? He thought, confused. She wasn't like that yesterday. No, I don't mean that. It's just it's not like Kakashi would show up anytime soon. I assumed he would be at least 3 to 4 hours late. Training happened to be something I could do to kill time before that bastard comes. Bastard? Who's this bastard? Kakashi, who else? Why do you call him that though? Because he's a pervert. I know perverts when I see one. That made Sakura giggle cutely. I don't, he is one. She told him innocently. Naruto just sighed at her innocence. She didn't catch anything. He was looking at your chest yesterday as much as he could while you weren't looking, said the dark warrior bluntly. Did you even know that? Sakura immediately covered her chest with her arms, blushing. You weren't looking at me like that, were you? She questioned him with a glare. Why would I do that? Was Naruto's response. Because you're a guy. I wouldn't do anything that stupid as to jeopardizing our friendship before it starts. He then slid his blade back into his sheath and made his clone disappear. I don't want you to hate me. I won't do something that vulgar. Did you say you want to be my friend? Asked Sakura, happily holding his arm, nearly jumping up and down. Don't lie, I know you did. Naruto couldn't help but blush slightly at her actions. Of course he turned away so the pink-haired girl wouldn't see it. However, she knew he blushed. Yet he replied, not knowing what else to say. Then it's settled, we are friends, she declared proudly. The boy just chuckled. Sure thing. The Death Knight looked at the eyes of the girl next to him. She quickly had a shade of fuchsia when her eyes met his. Sakura-chan, I suggest you take a nap before Kakashi comes, that is if you didn't have enough sleep. If I take a nap, would you do anything to me, other than giving you blankets so you won't catch a cold? He answered with a grin. Thanks, but I don't need a nap. That's not what your eyes are telling me, Sakura-chan. She jerked a bit at what she just heard. In reality, she was tired, but she didn't want to admit it. Now that the boy knows, there was no use hiding it anymore. However, she was amazed how quick Naruto caught on. And one more thing, he continued. On the night before an early mission, you shouldn't spend the entire day bickering with Ino so much. It wears you out the next day. This is impossible, thought Sakura in shock. How could he have known what I did yesterday after he left? Was he spying on me? Did he stalk me? No, he was with Hinata-san. There was no way he could have did that. Did he use one of his clones to follow me? No, why would he even bother doing something that lame? Screw this, I am confusing myself. Naruto, said Sakura, shaking her head to shut off her thoughts. I'm going to take a nap, would you wake me up later? No problem. Soon, Sakura picked a good spot under a tree and went into her sleeping position. As promised, the boy took out a blanket from his pack that he brought and gave it to the girl so she wouldn't get cold. She quickly blushed as she felt the boy covering her gently. Not knowingly, she held his hand, not wanting to let go. The Death Knight's eyebrow raised just a bit and smiled at the sleeping girl in front of him. Sleep well, Sakura-chan. He then slowly removed his hand out of the girl's surprisingly tight grip. Once he freed himself, he went off to do his own thing nearby. He decided to do some meditation exercises to increase his chakra control. He sat down at a preferred spot and began to channel chakra throughout his body. The meditation served two purposes. The first one was that it trained him to sustain his chakra within himself, and enabled him to know how to use the chakra effectively. A better example would be that since he was learning how to generate chakra through his body, he knows how much chakra he should be using for each situation. Naruto may be strong, but his control wasn't perfect. Second, this meditation opened the gates of Kyuubi's abilities. This was the only way he could learn all her hidden techniques, and it took time and research to understand each one. At this point, Naruto wasn't even close in learning all of his master's moves. Kyuubi had a lot to offer to the boy. Consider this meditation to be a search and discover mission. Meanwhile, with the Hyuga heiress, Hinata was determined this morning. She was determined to pass the test her instructor was going to give them. Not only that, she made a choice. She decided to have courage in herself to be more direct to Naruto. She couldn't allow the one she loved to be in the hands of another girl no matter what. Even though she was shy, quiet and timid, it didn't mean that she would give up her love that easily. The heiress of the Hyuga arrived at the training area 10 minutes after 7 just to find both her teammates were already there. However, she was somewhat surprised to her Jounin-sensei was nowhere to be found. At that moment, the Death Knight opened one eye just to see his best friend was here. He released the chakra into his body, stopping his meditating since he knew it would be impossible for him to continue if Hinata was here. Good morning, Naruto-kun, greeted Hinata with a bright smile. The boy simply acknowledged her by opening his eye, looking at her at the corner of it. Yeah, morning, he said dully, still trying to regain his senses. Did you have a good night's rest? I did. I had a beautiful dream last night, she answered dreamily, sitting next to him. Really? What was it about? She then blindly wrapped her arms around his, leaning her head on his shoulder. Naruto jerked a little at what she was doing. He wanted to push her away at that second, but her eyes were once again soothingly demanding. She was ordering him to allow her do what she was doing indirectly. He simply gave in, knowing what kind of result he would get if he didn't. Somehow, the demon boy felt that she did it naturally without hassle. I don't remember, Naruto-kun, she answered blindly with a heavenly tone. I just know it was really nice. The Death Knight silently agreed. However, it wasn't long before the Hyuga girl began to move closer to him. The boy didn't catch this yet until it was too late when she was hugging him. Hinata-chan, what is she doing? He thought, panicking. When it came to girls, he was utterly clueless. Can you hug me back? She asked with much emotions of love in her voice. Not knowing what to do, he did as he was told. He could feel her body soften as he wrapped his hand on her back. She was soft and easy to hold. He couldn't believe how soft she really was. The feeling was most divine. Her pale lavender eyes showed a lot of love and care at that moment. It was genuine and sincere. She hugged him tighter with more passion and dug her head into his chest. A shade of crimson appeared on the dark shinobi's face. He was completely lost. Hinata-chan? He asked when his chest felt a little wet. He knew she was crying. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, I can't believe this is actually happening. What is happening? He asked with most confusion. I thought I lost you forever, Naruto-kun. You suddenly left Konoha one day and you left me behind, not even letting me know where you went, or even why you decided to leave. I missed you since the day I no longer saw you. I thought you would never return to me. Now you are here, right in front of me, on the same genin team when our chances of even being together was slim. You know how happy I am right now to know this isn't a dream? This is real, this isn't just my fantasy, you are really here. How much did my absence hurt you? He asked with guilt, still embracing her. It doesn't matter, Naruto-kun. What matters right now is that you are with me. She then hugged him tightly once again. He knew she didn't want this embrace to end so soon. However, his mind was telling him even he didn't want to let this go either. Why am I feeling this way? He thought. Do I like Hinata more than just a friend? How come I don't want this to end? Why do I want her to feel safe and secure? Do I care that much for her? Many questions flowed around his mind at that split second. For the first time in his life, he never felt that lost in confusion. No, my head is just playing games with me. Despite what he thought, a sense of care was there in his mind. Hinata-chan. Yes? She asked with a soothing tone. I'll make you a promise. What is it? You have been waiting for so long. Hinata-chan, you have been waiting for me for all this time. I know my depart must have had a huge impact on you. I couldn't believe I made such a selfish decision and never even thought about my best friend. I will make it up to you. I promise you that I won't leave like that unnoticed again. I really don't want to see that pretty face of yours frown. I want you to be happy. You are important to me, always remember that. I will, Naruto-kun, she said with her eyes tearing up with joy. Thank you. She then did something she never thought she would do. She kissed him on the cheek with much passion. The boy immediately blushed, but this time he failed to hide it to the Hyuga girl. She grinned evilly. Naruto-kun, are you blushing? No. Of course not. He lied when his face was somewhat red from embarrassment. She giggled cutely, making him feel more nervous. As he regained his composure, he looked at the giggling heiress. For the first time, she was absolutely beautiful in his eyes. He couldn't help but glimpse at her for another second before she looked at him right in the eyes with her lavender ones. She suddenly looked seductive. It was then when he started to panic inside. The Hyuga girl could tell Naruto liked that kiss just now. It was good sign that told her she could move one step forward. She made sure this next step would claim his heart. As Hinata got close again, he quickly stood up, making her stop. I think I should go check on Sakura-chan, he said quickly and ran off. Hinata watched him took off and giggled innocently. However, that angelic giggle soon turned into a devilish grin. Oh, Naruto-kun, you are so shy. I know you like me, you can't hide it. With that thought clear, Hinata quickly jumped into a tall tree nearby to keep watch of her Naruto. She couldn't have him not in her sight. At that moment with Naruto, what the heck was Hinata-chan doing just now? He thought as a cold sweat came down his forehead. He made sure he was a fair distance away from the girl. Was she trying to seduce me? No, that couldn't be true. Hinata-chan would never do such a thing. She was so pretty though, she made me want to kiss her. No, Hinata-chan is my friend. I simply won't do that. He quickly broke that thought and focused on his original task, to check up on his sleeping teammate. Sakura was still resting peacefully with a smile on her face. The boy kneeled to lower himself to take a closer look at her. He was glad she was sleeping happily. She seemed to be having a pleasant dream, he thought with a wide grin. Something about Sakura fascinated him. He couldn't grasp what it was. He knew it existed, but he just couldn't get hold of it. Since he didn't want to mess up his own mind at such an early age, he chose to ignore it. Without knowing, he was looking at her at a pretty close distance. At the same time, Sakura suddenly wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled him down into a strong hug. If that was just a hug, it would have been fine, but the fact was that his head was in contact with Sakura's breasts. Hinata covered her mouth with her hands completely frozen to the core. She couldn't believe the scenario that was happening in front of her eyes. Sakura was hugging Naruto in a way the Hyuga girl always wanted. She was dumbfounded at the fact the pink-haired genin just did it like that. Sakura-san, though, Hinata with raging flames in her eyes. What are you doing to my Naruto-kun? He's mine. Meanwhile, the Death Knight had a lot on his hands. He was desperately trying to squirm out of her grab, but to no avail whatsoever. However, if he called out her name, it wouldn't be appropriate at all. This is definitely not the greatest way know a girl, he basically screamed to himself. The Death Knight gathered all the strength he could muster to get out of that mess he was in, but sadly enough, luck wasn't on his side that day, for Sakura suddenly woke up. She nearly screamed when she found herself hugging a guy to a very inappropriate part of her body. She wanted to yell at him for being a pervert, but she realized it was her who started it. She couldn't blame anyone. However, it didn't mean she wasn't embarrassed about it. Naruto whispered, Sakura blushing like a tomato who couldn't believe what she just did. She quickly released him, and of course he didn't hesitate at all to escape that embrace. His face was quite red since he was blushing. For the first time in his life, he nearly suffered a case of nosebleed. I'm so sorry, Sakura-chan, he panted, trying to calm himself down from that horrific experience. What in the hell was that? I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. She was breathing heavily herself. Are you mad at me? She asked, no louder than a squeak. No, I'm not. I am just shocked. That really wasn't the way I expected to be introduced to breasts. Sakura didn't know if she should laugh at that or kill him. By the expression on Naruto's face, he was shivering inside. Both sat in silence for a while before the Death Knight managed to speak again. I was wondering, what were you dreaming about just now to make you act like that? Nothing, she replied. Is that so? He questioned with a grin. She blushed quickly when she saw his face. You were dreaming about Uchiha Sasuke, weren't you? The emerald-eyed genin shook her head slightly, but Naruto wasn't persuaded. Don't lie, Sakura-chan. I heard you mumble his name in your sleep. I know you like him. Sakura knew lying wouldn't get her anywhere. What makes you like him so much? Don't mind me being so direct, I am just curious. It's okay, people have asked me that before. I might as well tell you. What makes you so sure I won't spread what you told me? All Sakura did was a calm smile. You don't look like a person who would do that. You're right, Sakura-chan. Oh yeah, whatever you tell me would stay between us, okay? She nodded. I want to tell you, well, since you seem to get along with girls so well and you are my teammate. If you can't trust your own teammates, who else could you trust? You're right. He stated simply. I want to know you better, Naruto. She then blushed. Would you give me a chance? What is she asking? She doesn't need permission for me to accept her. He thought. The Death Knight nodded with a smile. Okay, the reason I like Sasuke-kun is because he's strong, very handsome, collected, and mysterious. That makes girls, I can't explain it, but there is something so wild about him that I am attracted to. Did you tell him that you like him? He asked suddenly. Well, no. I don't know how he would react if I did. You haven't told him yet? Did you do anything to show at least you like him? Of course. I asked him on dates, having lunch, breakfast, taking walks. Wait, interrupted the Death Knight. Date? Isn't that a bit too forward? He couldn't stop a sweat drop coming down from his head. It doesn't really matter. He rejected everything that I suggested. Have you considered Sasuke likes? Sakura gave the silver-haired boy a confused expression. Okay, let me put it this way. I am sure he won't refuse that much if he was given a choice to do something he liked. I know he's one who likes to training, so if you want him to like you, do things that he likes. You have to think of it this way. If you like him, you have to sacrifice something you like for him. At first it would be a one-sided at first, but eventually the other person would do things for you. But I am so weak compared to Sasuke-kun, she admitted sadly. Well, it's the thought that counts. Make your presence worthy of his respect. This may sound a little silly and outdated, but have you heard of this before? To love a person isn't to take over, to love them is to make them happy? Sakura never realized how true that statement was. Hinata couldn't hear what he said, but the impressed look on the pink-haired girl's face told her enough. But first things first, are you and Sasuke friends? We are more of acquaintances than friends. You two talked before? Yeah, but he always walks away all the time. I wonder why, thought the Death Knight sarcastically. You should tell him that you want to be his friend, Sakura-chan, said Naruto, holding Sakura's hand with both of his. She immediately blushed a deep shade of red. Now I'll say this. Within 10 men, 9 of them are demented retards. The Haruno girl giggled. If you don't tell them what you want or your intentions, they won't even know what's going on. Tell him you want to be his friend, not a fangirl that he dislikes so much. I never thought of it that way, but I still can't bear it if Sasuke likes a girl other than myself. Don't think like that. If you truly like him, wouldn't you be happy for him if he found the girl who he loves? Wouldn't you wish him to have a successful relationship? Come on, Sakura-chan, there are too many hardships in life. If we could avoid it or ease it, I would. You should see things more in a positive way so you could live your life better. Naruto the girl was amazed at the level of his maturity. Of course, the Death Knight went through a very tough and different life from her. It was only natural for him to see things in such a different perspective. He was secretive and mysterious. It made Sakura had a desire to know more about him. I thank you for sharing so much with me, she then blushed knowing he was still holding her hand. But why did you do it? Because you are a great person to talk to, Sakura-chan, complimented Naruto sincerely. You don't pressure people, you don't force your opinions towards others, you're very open. I suppose this was a good way to know you better since we are teammates and friends. We need to look out for one another. Sakura-chan, you have no idea how much more fortunate you are compared to many people. I know there are things that you don't like, such as your forehead. He then burst into a quiet chuckle. Sakura's face was quite red from embarrassment. How do you know? She asked nervously. If Ino called you forehead girl, There's gotta be something she is insulting. The girl blushed slightly. But to me, I think your forehead is just fine. You're just saying that. She then pouted cutely. No, I'm not. You're a very pretty girl, I'll admit that. So don't be ashamed of who you are. Your pink hair, green eyes, they suit who you are perfectly. He then poked her forehead lightly. Even though you may not win Sasuke's heart, I want you to know you are Hiruno Sakura, my teammate, and always will be my friend. I never had too many friends since I moved around a lot. I treasure those who are close, and you should too. But most importantly, you should treasure yourself. The girl was speechless at that moment. His words were genuine and sincere. He cared for her, and they barely knew each other. But somehow, she felt they knew one another for a long time. She felt easy to share things with him. Somewhere in her heart told her that the boy would keep his word and he wouldn't do anything reckless to disappoint her. She knew he was trustworthy. At that instant, her heart fell for someone else. So you never thought my forehead was? No, he answered, shaking his head. Did you ever thought I was too weak since Hinata-san defeated me in one shot? This time, she was scared at what his reply was. You might not be strong physically, he said. But it's not everyone's strength to be just strong. I'm sure your potential is locked elsewhere. She smiled happily to him, which resulted a smile in return. Do you think I'm pretty? The silver-haired genin's eyes widened a little, while Hinata's ears jerked a little. Yeah, I do, answered Naruto, while Hinata gasped from afar. Where is this getting to? He asked, but the green-eyed girl was blushing nervously. All the Death Knight could do was wait. Do you like me? Sakura blurted out her question as quickly as she could say it. Naruto just smiled warmly at her. Of course I do, why wouldn't I? The girl flushed deeply while Hinata could just faint. How could Naruto-kun fall for her? No, I won't give up. I know he likes me. It can't be true. No, I will make him realize that I love him. I can't lose him now. Great, said the Death Knight in his head. Why do girls always have to ask those questions that either resolves in a kiss or a punch in the face? Suddenly the Haruno girl embraced the dark shinobi passionately. It was very unexpected. Sakura-chan, is something wrong? Nothing, it's just that no one ever said they liked me before. Really? I'm sure they are just as shy to admit it. Now that we are closer friends, the girl then played with her hands a little bit. Do you think we could hang out sometime? This was when the Hyuga heiress paid the most attention to during the entire conversation. Not believing anything was wrong, Naruto agreed, making inner Sakura jump up cheerfully while a dangerous aura was developing somewhere nearby. Once Naruto gave Sakura his answer, which was obviously sure, he suddenly felt a disturbance in the air. The lavender-eyed genin was jealous. In fact, she has been jealous of Sakura for a long time, but she never cared before until now. Sakura was more prettier than her, smarter than her, and caught many people's attention by simply walking into a room. She was afraid the pink-haired girl would win Naruto's heart. It was clear Sakura had more skills to do it. Hinata's chance has drastically lowered. The look on Sakura's green eyes clarified that she had admiration for Hinata's loved one. When it came to love, the Hyuga girl would do anything to achieve it. Meanwhile, noticing Hinata's presence nearby, Naruto decided to check up on her. Sakura agreed while her inner self was cursing the entire time. The Death Knight disappeared in a flash and appeared right in front of Hinata in a kneeling position. The Hyuga girl squeaked as she saw him so unexpectedly. Now Naruto-kun was all Hinata could put together. The boy gave her a questioning look. What are you doing here, Hinata-chan? Asked the Runblade wielder politely. I was just resting here, she replied meekly. Even though he wasn't convinced, he was inclined to agree. He observed his surroundings just to find that this was a shady area with a gentle breeze. However, he knew she had been listening to the entire conversation. Instincts told him that. Naruto-kun, may I ask you a question? Ask ahead, Hinata-chan. What makes you like Sakura-san so much? She asked sadly. I like her, but you can't say that I like her to a fact that you would use the words so much. Really? The lavender-eyed girl asked excitedly. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that sudden outburst. She then blushed madly at what she just did. Naruto-kun, do you like me? That question made his eyes open up with the most utter shock. What? Do you like me? She asked again with more force, which made Naruto stutter. Well, you don't like me, do you? Tears were forming in her eyes as she slowly turned away from him. Seeing her about to cry, the Death Knight had to do something. He quickly held her gently by the shoulders, making eye contact with her. That's not it, Hinata-chan, he explained. What do you expect me to say? I like you, of course, you are my best friend. Do you have a reason for me not to like you? I didn't respond since I didn't know what kind of like you were referring to, that's all. My like is just friends like. Naruto-kun. Hinata tried to give him her best smile, but he knew her too well. Her smile was forced, and she was lying. He knew exactly what her like meant. He was beginning to know what this was getting at. However, he chose to ignore it for the time being, and not a wise decision. Moments later, Naruto and Hinata made it back to the area where Sakura was and decided to wait as a team. When Hinata and Sakura's eyes met one another's, a frightening aura began to develop between the two. They gave each other a fake smile at first, but soon they dropped their greeting faces and turned it into a stare. Tension was intensifying each passing second. Anyone who had basic intelligence would know it would be wise not to step in. One common thought were in both girls' minds at the same moment. I won't lose Naruto to you. The same day at the same designated waiting area. Another hour has passed by. The Death Knight was bored out of his mind. If it wasn't for his novel Life and Death Paradise written by Jiraiya, he would have killed himself long ago than to experience this boredom. Unlike all those perverted books Jiraiya has wrote all these years, this was the first book that the content had nothing to do with women exposing themselves in any possible reason. However, this book was still rated R. It was a very special novel to Naruto and his younger sister, for it was written by their inspiration. And, just like how this story is inspired by something, the contents were all something to do with the human psychology, both physical and mental torment. The silver-haired genin loved this book. He already read it many times, but it caught his attention every time. It reflected him a lot. It explained how people should seek out their lives no matter how down and hopeless it seemed. Forfeiting in the most early stages of the game would hurt your loved ones who always had faith in you. Naruto found that this book Jiraiya wrote for him showed that he cared for him a lot. Even though they may bicker at times, he saw him like a father. Meanwhile, the two girls were sitting at different sides watching him admiringly. As much as Naruto wanted to ignore them, he found the tension and pressure was growing and budding to new heights. It felt strange. He never had two girls liking him before, and not to mention both of them were pretty. When he was reading silently, the girls would read with him and taking short glimpses of him. It truly was uncomfortable for Naruto, but he didn't have the heart to tell them directly. Even so, he needed to get out of that awkward situation, and not to mention fast. The Death Knight made a set of hand seals that Hinata was familiar to. She grabbed his wrist quickly and gave him a charming look. He blushed immediately when he saw her needing eyes. Her lavender eyes showed both desire and hunger. No words were needed there. He knew she wanted him to stay. He reluctantly gave in to her demands and decided to meditate with his blindfold so he won't be able to see any of the girls. However, Sakura just took it away from him, saying his eyes were pretty. There was no need to hide it. At that time, the Death Knight was freaked out beyond repair on the inside, while his outside appearance remained calm and still. In truth, he didn't know how much longer he could last. If he couldn't blink out of there, he didn't know what he could do. He then decided to take a short walk. "Naruto-kun, where are you going?" asked Hinata as the male genin stood up. "I'm just stretching, Hinata-chan," he replied, obviously lying. The girl obviously doubted his words. "You like it if I gave you a massage?" she offered timidly. "You did give me one before." Sakura then wished she offered something first. The last thing she needed was for Hinata to have the first strike. Hinata then started to play with her index fingers nervously with a blushing face. She wanted to make the best impression. "There is no need for that," he answered, giving a no response. "I am feeling fine. Come on, I insist," said the girl ever so seductively, while she took his hand and pulled him back down to a sitting position. His eyes showed much surprise. When did Hinata become this bold? She then went behind him and prepared herself. "Hi Hinata-chan," said Naruto nervously. "Really, there is no need for you to do this for me." "But I want to, Naruto-kun." The Death Knight stiffened at her heavenly tone. He was losing it. He didn't know what to do. He had a beautiful girl, in fact 2 beautiful girls actually, who liked him. He tried his best not to get seduced by either of them, but that task seemed to be more difficult as each second went by. Once Hinata began her soothing treatment, Naruto's usual cold, hard shell could just melt. "Holy, this feels good," thought Naruto, trying not to enjoy this too much, but it was too good to deny. Sakura was enraged that her new rival was touching him. She was the person that was supposed to do that. Without knowing, the Hyuga heiress slowly removed the jacket that the Death Knight was wearing. And no, she is not trying to have sex with him. For those who had the thought that I would write that, if you were massaging someone, you would ask them to take off any thick clothing. In Hinata's case, she did it naturally. Naruto hardened a bit but chose to put it aside when Hinata's operation just got that much more relaxing. "Don't undress Naruto, Hinata-san," shouted Sakura, which made Hinata flush with embarrassment. Deep down, the pink-haired girl was secretly agreeing with the idea. "It's fine," said Naruto. "Thanks, Hinata-chan." "You're welcome," said Hinata with a shade of pink while continuing her treatment. Suddenly, the heiress blindly pushed herself gently onto his back, making the dark shinobi felt something soft. He blushed a little, knowing what it was. His heartbeat increased as he turned his head slightly, seeing the girl's head only inches away from his. Of course, Sakura didn't like that sight right now. "Hinata-chan, Naruto-kun, I hope I could make you happy every day," she said rather blindly. Her eyes were filled with nothing but care, concern, sincerity, and possibly even love. Why would Hinata-chan show love in her eyes? Naruto asked himself in his mind. Does she love me? No, I'm fooling myself. I know she likes me, but she wouldn't love me. Not a half-demon, especially the last thought was quite bitter. I must be imagining things. Love? When was it ever something within my reach? It never was, it never will. He looked at the creamy white face again. Her expression didn't change one bit. It was still filled with genuine emotions. He smiled at her, and she quickly blushed and looked away. As Naruto began to relax a bit more, Hinata's face got even closer to his like a magnet. Somehow, he had an urge as well. Not realizing what they were doing, their faces were a mere distance apart. As the Death Knight pulled himself together, and the split second before their lips met each other's, he could tell this wasn't right. He then reluctantly pulled his head back. "Hinata-chan, I think that would do it," he said rather quickly as he removed himself from her. A very disappointed look crept on the heiress' face. The dark warrior then gave her a genuine smile and ruffled her hair slightly. When Hinata returned a smile of her own, he then felt safe knowing she was okay. Just to make sure, he gave her a gentle kiss on the forehead, making Hinata blush. Given this big opening, Sakura quickly grabbed his arm and tugged him away from the Hyuga girl. "Sakura-chan, what's wrong?" "Nothing," answered Sakura with a blush. "I just want to have a walk with me?" "A walk?" he asked. She nodded with a cheerful blushing face. "Shouldn't we continue to wait though? I mean, Kakashi would be here any second now." He chose his words wisely. He knew he had to say something that wasn't refusing or accepting the offer. "I guess you're right," she said rather down. "Naruto, I want to thank you." "For what?" "For making realize what kind of good person you are," replied Sakura timidly. "No one has said something so nice to me before. I never had a friend like you. I'm glad to be the first," he said with a chuckle. "May I return the favor?" "No need, Sakura-chan," he said sincerely with a smile. "It was nothing, I was happy to help you." However, when his cerulean eyes met her emerald ones, he realized what she meant by favor. "And no, it's not sex." He was in a panic once again. "Sakura-chan, there is really no need for you to do anything. You don't have to trouble yourself with me." Currently, he was slowly backing away, but the girl's hand caught his, refusing him to go. "Please, I insist," Sakura said ever so seductively. The Death Knight blinked a few times at her words. They were the same as Hinata's, not to mention the soft sound. She slowly placed her hand on his cheek and pulled his face gently towards hers. The Hyuga girl immediately dashed to the two, trying to make it in time before Sakura made the final move. However, she was too late. Sakura's lips already made contact with Naruto's cheek, and she was kissing him with passion. She broke the kiss rather quickly, but the Death Knight was shocked at the amount of feeling put into it. He was stunned while Sakura flushed deeply. "Wow" was all he could think about as he touched his kissed cheek with his hand. Of course, Hinata definitely didn't like what she saw. Her jealousy towards her female teammate increased. It was clear Sakura was feeling the same way. "Oh heyo," called a familiar voice from the trees suddenly. Naruto looked up with a smirk on his face while the two girls were too focused with another to even notice who the person was. "Oh heyo yourself," said Naruto, not pleased to see his instructor at all. "It's about time you showed up, Kakashi." "What time is it?" he asked, resulting a glare from the Death Knight. "You're late," shouted the girls, reverting their attention to the jounin. "Yeah, a black cat crossed my path this morning, so." "Liar!" the two yelled in unison. Kakashi simply coughed and muttered a whatever under his breath and decided to move on with the day. "Now," said Kakashi, taking out a clock from his knapsack and placed it on a small stump. "I will now explain the task you three must do." Then he took out two bells in his jounin vest. "The bell exercise," thought Naruto with a smirk. "Your task is to take these two bells away from me. Whoever doesn't manage to have a bell in their possession when the time is up will be tied to that log over there and won't have lunch. The others would, fortunately." The jounin then pointed to a few logs nearby as the three nodded in understanding. "Now, if none of you get the bells, all three of you would be tied up, and guess what would happen to your lunches?" "I will eat them right in front of you." "Big deal," said Naruto. "Big deal is right, Naruto-kun," Kakashi continued with a visible evil grin. "The person who doesn't get a bell will fail." The last sentence struck the girls' minds. "You fail if you don't get a bell," thought Sakura. "Then, I'll have to make sure I actually get one. There's a chance that all three of us would fail," said Hinata mentally, worried. "This really makes you lose your confidence. Now, you all have 80 minutes to take the bells away from me. I'll allow you to use any type of methods. And by the way, I advise you come at me with the intention to kill me. Won't you get hurt, sensei?" asked Sakura worriedly. "No, I'll be fine," replied the jounin reassuringly. "You're in over your head, Kakashi," said Naruto with an evil grin. "Call me Kakashi-sensei," stated the jounin, narrowing his visible eye to his only male student. "You haven't been doing such a good job of an instructor for me to call you that, Kakashi." The jounin's eye winced even more as the Death Knight took a glance to the girls. They were already gone. Naruto then grinned and began to walk away. "Kakashi," he called with his back turned. "I will play this little game with you for a little while longer. Don't think that I don't know what you're up to." With that, he made his hand seal of the technique blink and teleported away. "Damn," cursed the masked man to himself. "I should have copied that move with my Sharingan, it could have been very useful." However, little did he know that move can't be simply copied, it had to be taught by the original user. Knowing Itachi's Sharingan, Naruto avoided to learn jutsus that could be copied. He dedicated himself to learn most of Kyuubi's hidden techniques, which surprised Itachi and Kisame every time they sparred. The only move Naruto possessed that could be copied would be the Kagebunshin. And I obviously didn't remove this move for him, it was his trademark after all, just like his whisker marks. Moments later, the three genins have all concealed themselves within this time. Sakura was looking for a good opening to strike the jounin. Hinata was waiting patiently for a decent sneak attack while Naruto was observing Kakashi carefully to study his movements and behavior. The way a person reacts and moves told the Death Knight a lot about the person. That was what he usually did when it came to this kind of games. As he deactivated his unholy sight, he quickly leaped silently away from his hiding spot and prepared himself to face Kakashi. "I wasn't expecting only just you to show up, Naruto," said Kakashi as the Death Knight appeared 10 feet away from him in a warp. Hinata and Sakura were shocked at what Naruto just did, not that he appeared out of nowhere but his choice in revealing himself. Expect it, Kakashi, spat Naruto as a matter of factly. It's time for this little game to reach the next level, don't you think? Bold words, but you'll know that I won't be easy prey. I have no intention of taking those damn bells from you, little human. As for becoming a genin, I could seriously care less. My only objective right now is to take you down. You should start talking after you beat me. Gladly, said the Death Knight as he vanished without warning. The Jounin's eyes opened up a notch, for he wasn't able to sense it coming. The next split second, the Dark Shinobi was already next to the masked ninja giving an upward kick. Being a skillful Jounin, Kakashi shifted his body as quick as he could to dodge that incoming kick. But even if he did, he barely evaded it. Knowing his kick missed, Naruto turned his body around to perform a 360-degree kick that struck Kakashi heavily in the arm. However, the Jounin blocked it but still took full impact. It was then Naruto unsheathed his runblade as Kakashi took out a kunai. Both weapons then struck each other, causing a powerful energy clash. The masked Jounin then lowered himself in a nick of time and tripped his opponent. Naruto cursed himself for being careless as he fell on his back to the ground. Kakashi quickly dived down, still with a weapon in his hand, and aimed for a critical spot. The Death Knight smirked as he himself had a few tricks up his sleeve. As the incoming attack was inches away from Naruto's body, Naruto disappeared again. Kakashi's eye widened when he no longer sensed his adversary's presence. Out of the blue, the Death Knight appeared 2 feet away from Kakashi with a smirk on his face. First he kicked the kunai away from his hand as if it was nothing. Kakashi's dumbfounded look made the task that much easier. Then Naruto performed a heavy snap kick to the Jounin's chin, sending him gliding several meters away. What in the hell was that? Asked Kakashi, rubbing his chin to ease the pain. Naruto simply smirked. It's called phase shift, answered Naruto as he prepared himself in his preferred swordsman stance. And go to the jutsu list to check out the description of this move. Not giving his opponent any more recovery time, the Death Knight did a high charge with his runblade in an attacking position. Seeing Naruto coming quickly, Kakashi made a set of hand seals ready to counter. Fire element, flame blast no jutsu, shouted the Jounin as a powerful cone of fire was released from his hands. And I have no idea what kind of moves Kakashi has. All I know, he has the Sharingan, Chidori, Zabuza's water techniques, Kisame's water techniques, Kage Bunshin, that's really all. Please bear with me. Naruto merely placed his weapon in a defensive position and took the attack completely. Naruto wasn't stupid. What he was actually doing to split the flames in two to prevent any sort of damage. As the flames cleared, Kakashi's eye twitched when he saw the Dark Shinobi completely unharmed, not even a sign of a small burn. Is that all, Kakashi? Asked the Death Knight, looking up with a sinister grin. There will be a lot more where that came from. Don't worry, replied the Jounin with a visible grin. Kakashi knew he had to go on to the offensive. Staying defensive would only work to his disadvantage. Generating chakra into his feet in very short amount of time, Kakashi excelled himself in a speed that surprised Naruto. The Death Knight's eye widened as he sensed the Jounin pass right by. He prepared himself for the worst as he dodged a punch aimed for his back. A kick soon followed, however the Dark Shinobi once again avoided the attack. With a slight twist of his body, Kakashi immediately delivered a kick successfully at his opponent's stomach, causing Naruto not only to flinch in a lot of pain but also slow down his movement for a short period of time. This period of time was all Kakashi needed to get into a good distance to prepare for his next attack. Using the Kage Bunshin, 10 Kakashis appeared and performed the fireball rain altogether. As a legion of fireballs were headed straight for Naruto, the Death Knight's eyes flashed angrily, for he started to avoid them in high agility. This wasn't a good sign to Kakashi, obviously, so he increased the number of fireballs. Knowing more was put into this attack, the silver-haired genin had no choice but to destroy as many as he could when it came. With his runblade, it wasn't that hard of a task. However, due to the amount that was fired, it wasn't long before Naruto was starting to get hit by some of them. As one hit, more and more began to inflict more damage. I can't afford to take any more unnecessary hits, said the Death Knight in his mind, making precautions. I'll get him. Unexpected, Naruto gathered chakra into his feet and dashed towards Kakashi with his runblade in an attack position. As he passed his opponent, all the Kakashi clones were gone in a smoke. He's incredibly fast, thought Kakashi, turning around just to see the Dark Shinobi projected himself right at him, delivering a high-impact skull bash right into Kakashi's ribs. The Jounin couldn't imagine how much damage was inflicted in that single attack. Before he fell backwards, the Death Knight gave an upward kick right at his face, sending the masked man into the air. To cause more pain, Naruto charged up his blade and quickly released the death coil at his now defenseless opponent. Hinata gasped at what her friend did. Naruto-kun, you said that was a healing technique, she thought as she held her hands to her chest. Then she nearly shrieked as her instructor looked completely lifeless after the death coil consumed him. This is definitely not a healing technique, thought Hinata determinedly. What are you hiding from me, Naruto-kun? As the Jounin's body fell helplessly to the ground, Naruto frowned in anger. Then the body disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Naruto knew it was a replication. So, he ran away, thought the silver-haired genin calmly as he glanced over his surroundings. I better regroup with the others, I can't pass this test if they don't participate. With that thought in mind, Naruto leaped into the forest hoping to find Hinata and Sakura, at the meantime in a hiding vicinity. Meanwhile, Kakashi was currently hiding in the trees holding both his face and ribs. He was in a lot of pain and panting a little as well. Damn it, he thought, trying to calm down. That boy managed to lay enough direct attacks on me. Who would have thought he would be that strong? If I continued to fight him, I know I would have lost for certain. I need to come up with a plan. I can't hide here forever. If I know him well enough, I'm sure he knows that I'm here. His eyes are just like the 4 THs. As Kakashi was thinking of a plan, the Death Knight was on his way to gather reinforcements. And not like he really needed them. Hinata-chan, whispered Naruto, making the Hyuga girl turn around. When she saw him, she immediately hugged him passionately. Naruto wasn't really expecting that. Hi Hinata-chan, what's wrong? Nothing, I was just worried. She answered timidly but still embracing him. About me fighting Kakashi? He asked, ruffling her hair a little. She nodded slightly and enjoyed his warmth. Despite how much he liked her touch, Naruto reluctantly broke the embrace. Where's Sakura-chan? He asked suddenly. The lavender-eyed girl's happy face dropped as he mentioned Sakura's name. I don't know, we went different ways after we got our instructions. Naruto sighed in exhaustion and decided to look for Sakura. He told Hinata to wait for him, but she clearly refused. The last thing the heiress needed was for him to be alone with her rival. With the Byakugan user here, it wasn't too difficult to locate Sakura. As Naruto went up to the pink-haired girl, she immediately attached herself onto him, making Hinata's anger level increase dramatically. Don't hug Naruto-kun like that, shouted Hinata, unable to control her anger. He's not yours, Hinata-san, retorted Sakura with her tongue sticking out. The Hyuga girl groaned in annoyance and pouted. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at his best friend's cuteness. It was adorable. However, he needed Sakura to remove herself first. Sakura-chan, I need you to let go, stated Naruto. We need to discuss a plan now. You could discuss it with me. You don't need to. The pink-haired genin then slowly removed her arms away from him when she saw he was serious. She knew this must be important. Okay, my plan is simple, explained Naruto while the girls paid close attention. We need to fight as a team, it's that easy. What? The 2 female genins said in unison. Why do we need to work together? Asked Hinata, not understanding this at all. You were kicking his butt just fine, added Sakura. Trust me, said Naruto with a grin. If I took the bells with the method I was using, we all would fail. I just wanted to piss that pervert off. The girls gave him a blank expression. Naruto just sighed. Whether you understand or not, just follow my lead and attack with me. Never attempt to take him alone, always go in pairs, okay? The girls then nodded in agreement, and commenced the plan as a team. The trio then came out of the forests knowing Kakashi was nearby. The Jounin could obviously see them since he was on higher ground. He didn't expect Naruto to gather the other two though. Hinata activated her Byakugan and scouted the area very efficiently. It wasn't long before she found the Jounin's hiding spot. Knowing he has been seen, Kakashi quickly attempted to escape. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't expecting Naruto to bring the other two to his aid. Now his plan has been completely messed up. In truth, he didn't have enough time to even think of a plan. All he could do now was to go with the flow and hoping he would get out of it in one piece. The Jounin then immediately made a break for it. You won't get away, said Naruto as he generated energy within his blade. Unholy aura. Then a black fog composed with energy began to surround the Death Knight. It looked somewhat horrific to the girls. However, they felt the aura very distinctively. It felt like it affected them too. The feeling was strange but also beneficial. How come I feel different, Naruto-kun? Asked Hinata with an uneasy feeling. You are in range of my unholy aura, explained Naruto. As long as you are in radius of 10 meters around me, your healing and movement will increase. If we attack together while our agility increased, we would stand a better chance. Now, stay close to me and let's hunt down that masked freak. And, to check out this move, please read the jutsu list for further details. The girls nodded promptly and followed Naruto's lead into the forest. Kakashi knew he was slowing down as he felt pain in his ribs. Damn, that skull bash actually broke a few of my ribs. It's good that it's not critical, but it's really dulling my senses, thought the gray-haired Jounin holding his chest area a little. Not knowing his students had a powerful aura aiding them, he was shocked to see them within his vision. His eye immediately twitched as he saw his only male student already charging at him with his blade ready to strike. They're fast, too fast, thought the masked Jounin in a slight panic. He prepared his own taijutsu stance ready to take on anything ahead. Once Naruto was a few feet in front of his instructor holding his weapon and preparing to attack, he smirked and vanished. Kakashi quickly looked around trying to detect the boy, however he found that he suddenly had his hands full dealing with the Hyuga heiress and the pink-hair girl. He was acting as a decoy, said Kakashi mentally as he blocked one of Sakura's kicks and Hinata's gentle fist. I am at a total disadvantage here, mana burn, shouted Hinata as she fired her most lethal attack on her instructor. As Kakashi tried to dodge it, Sakura managed to punch the Jounin to get him back into the beam's range, knowing what kind of deadly effects the beam could really do. The Jounin cried in pain as he felt a major chunk of his chakra has been tore away very forcefully. Seeing how much pain Kakashi was in, the girl didn't hesitate at all to continue with their pursuit. Unfortunately for Hinata, her mana burn missed her opponent's chakra organ since he was able to dodge it. If it wasn't for Sakura, the beam wouldn't have hit at all. The Hyuga girl secretly thanked her rival. Of course she would never admit it to her. Even though the mana burn did hit, it wasn't enough to weaken Kakashi completely. He still had a lot of fighting spirit left within him. Naruto made sure that wouldn't happen, for he soon joined in the battle. At this time, the masked Jounin knew he was in trouble. He found himself even more cornered when he saw all three of their movements have increased by a notch. With his weakened self, he found it extremely difficult to keep up, so he decided to put the two girls out of the picture first. As Hinata's palm came, Kakashi grabbed it and swung the Hyuga heiress right to Sakura, causing both to collide to each other. Even though they weren't unconscious, they were knocked a fair distance away. This gave the Jounin enough time to deal with Naruto. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! Shouted the instructor as 6 more clones of himself came out. He was surprised at the few amount that was created, but it didn't matter, 6 was good enough. Sensing not enough chakra within himself, all the Kakashis took out their kunai and charged, trying to make a final attempt to win this battle. Naruto, on the other hand, gathered a considerable amount of chakra into his blade, also ready to intercept with a collision. It was 6 on 1. As the two went past each other with much killing intent, all Sakura and Hinata could do was watch in awe. Both of them were eager to know who was left standing. The Jounin's clones disappeared while Naruto deactivated his aura. Both of them were still up on their feet. Hinata squeaked when she saw Naruto had 6 kunais stabbed into his arms and 1 on his shoulder. Blood was dripping down from his forehead to his face, while Kakashi seemed to be fine and unharmed. Who do you think won, Sakura-san? Asked Hinata, worriedly dropping the rivalry act. I don't know, Hinata-san, I really don't know, replied Sakura, choking a bit with her words. It all happened so fast that none of them knew what actually happened. At that second, the Death Knight turned around with a wide smirk on his face to look at Kakashi, who didn't move a muscle. As Hinata took a closer observation, he could see the masked Jounin's face was deathly pale. Both girls shrieked. How do you like my death pact, Kakashi-kun? Asked Naruto in a taunting tone. It was life-draining, wasn't it? He then painfully pulled out the 6 kunais out of his body. It was covered with blood. I know you can hear me, you just don't have the strength to even talk. It doesn't matter, I understand. My attack gives me health by 300 of the damage that I dealt to the target. By the way that you collided with me, you should know you gave me a perfect opportunity to give a 90-degree slash. You were foolish to come at me using a close-range method, little human. I would say more, but I'm not going to bother talking to lifeless statue. The Death Knight then walked to the Jounin and gave a gentle tap. With no sense of retaliation, Kakashi fell face first to the ground. Naruto-kun! Shouted Hinata, running to him, followed by Sakura. What is it? He asked rather emotionlessly. Are you okay? Asked Sakura, checking his wounds. You're bleeding. I'll be fine, Sakura-chan, he said with a smile. It's just a flesh wound, yeah. Painful flesh wounds, he added sarcastically in his head. Naruto-kun, murmured Hinata, holding his hand. What should we do with Kakashi-sensei? He seems pretty out of it dead, if you want my full opinion, thought Hinata. Let's nurse him back to health first. The two girls agreed while Naruto took the lifeless Kakashi on his shoulders and put him in a good place to rest. Several long hours later, you're awake, sensei, said Hinata with a cute smile on her face. How are you feeling? Huh? Was all Kakashi could muster. Where am I? You are still in the memorial grounds, Kakashi-sensei. Answered Sakura, who was on his other side. I was thinking you wouldn't wake up, Kakashi. Said Naruto, crossing his arms while standing. Of course I would wake up by the way I passed out. I'll assume you took the bells away from me? Questioned the Jounin with a visible grin. Yeah, why wouldn't we? Replied Sakura happily. Which one of you doesn't have the bell? He then looked at the girls only. However, to his surprise, both girls were holding the bells and ringed it in front of him with a smile. I don't have one, stated Naruto in a neutral tone. Why did you give them the bells, Naruto? Asked the Jounin, narrowing his visible eye. You do know what it means, right? Tell me, you defeated me with the help of your friends, which seriously impressed me. But in the end, you know I still make the rules. I could fail you, you know that. Yeah, I do. So why did you sacrifice your only chance of passing? Because I don't want Hinata-chan or Sakura-chan to fail. Answered Naruto truthfully. So you knew the meaning of this test right from the start, didn't you? Questioned Kakashi. It's all about teamwork. Teamwork? Asked the girls in unison, completely confused. If teamwork was the case, why did Naruto act alone at first? Asked the pink-haired genin. He wanted to piss me off. Replied Kakashi. That made Naruto laugh out loud. How was the test supposed to be done then? You three should have came at me together. But who knew Naruto was that good to get me this badly? I shouldn't have held back when I still had the chance. Naruto smirked a little, but the Jounin continued. Even if Naruto wasn't the strong genin he is, a genin team should be able to take something from someone who is a Jounin if they put team effort into it. But how is it teamwork if there are only 2 bells? Asked Hinata, finally catching on. Even if we work together, one of us would still be left out, not to mention more bickering. Added Sakura in a clear tone. Of course, explained Kakashi. This test was designed to fight amongst yourselves. But why do you think we work in 3-man teams? It's all about teamwork. In the previous exercise, the main goal of it was for me to see how each of you coordinate with another. About the 2 bells, that was for me to see who's willing to sacrifice something important and interest for the sake of the team and work together. What do you mean, sensei? Asked Hinata timidly. Naruto just sighed to himself. Hinata, Sakura, think about it carefully, said Kakashi kindly. A normal genin in any circumstances doesn't have the ability to fight one-on-one with a jounin. If you went for me alone, you should know your chance of getting the bell is extremely slim. However, in this case there was a cost behind it if you didn't achieve your goal. So what would you do? Any smart person with common sense would know that you have to team up with your teammates to help you. At the same time, you know that the choice of teaming up may also result in not be able to pass since there are only 2 bells for 3 people. If you don't work as a group, you definitely won't pass. But if you do work together, there is a chance that you might not pass either. It's a tough decision. That's where the selfish people come in. They don't care about anyone other than themselves. In the end, they would mess up for the entire team. I understand now. I'm not done, said Kakashi. It's important for a certain individual to be powerful, but what is even more valued is teamwork. Missions are completed with teams all the time. Selfish actions that destroy the group's spirit bring danger to your teammates, and that could get them killed because of your recklessness. The cost of teamwork failure can resolve to a lot of tragic things. For example, suddenly, the jounin appeared right behind Naruto and held him into a dead hold with a kunai aimed at his throat. Hinata! Shouted Kakashi with force. Kill Sakura or Naruto dies. The Death Knight didn't even react, but the girls on the other hand were freaked out. But Hinata couldn't even speak properly. Sakura was just as scared. Well, that's what could happen, said Kakashi, spinning his kunai and slid it back into his pouch. That scared me, said Sakura, relieved while holding her chest. Not only did you mess up the teamwork, you allowed the enemy to grab hold of the hostage. When this happens, you might be forced to make impossible decisions before you die. He then released Naruto out of his hold. I will give you all the last bit of advice. A ninja must always read what's underneath the underneath. In this world, nothing is always what it seems. Always look further beyond the requirement, and your chance of success would be higher. A ninja must always follow the rules. Those who don't follow the rules are trash. But to me, those who don't care about their friends are even worse than trash. Naruto grinned at his words. Kakashi really wasn't a jounin for nothing. Hinata's eyes were sparkling with most delight, while Sakura was smiling with glee. Hell yeah, shouted inner Sakura. I knew we could do it. The second test is officially over. Missions will begin tomorrow. Kakashi finalized his words with a smile. This guy is quite cool, somewhat whispered the Death Knight to himself as he began to walk away from the memorial grounds. Suddenly, he felt a pair of arms wrapped around his neck, giving him a soft, passionate embrace. Sakura-chan, hello, he began stuttering. I'm so glad that we are officially genins, exclaimed the pink-haired girl happily. I'm glad too. He then stopped talking when he felt Sakura pressed herself a little against him. He was blushing slightly and Hinata noticed it. The silver-haired genin turned his head and saw Sakura's green eyes. They were filled with joy and satisfaction. He knew she was loving this moment right now. He didn't have the heart to make her let go. You want to have to lunch with me? Asked the Emerald Eye girl timidly. Oh, I don't see why. Before Naruto could finish, Hinata quickly got hold of his right arm and held it with passion. A slight shade of fuchsia appeared on the Death Knight's face as he felt the Hyuga girl's touch. Naruto-kun, Hinata cooed soothingly. You want to go with me instead? Now, it would be a good time for our hero to panic. I don't think. Yes, you can, declared the Hyuga heiress, giving him a seductive look. Hinata-san, let go of him, demanded Sakura angrily. I got to him first. She broke the embrace and took his other available arm. What kind of mess did I get myself into? He cursed mentally. You didn't have the initiative to take his hand, you hugged him. You didn't ask him first. I did take the initiative first to hold his hand, pink-hair girl, snapped Hinata angrily. How dare you, no pupil eyes. Sakura returned her words with more force. Big forehead. For the first time, Ino's words were very useful. The two girls gritted their teeth, sending each other death glares as each second went by. Naruto felt the dangerous aura had reached another new level. Kakashi's so-called teamwork was already falling apart. How long have they been genins for? 3 minutes, for crying out loud. He needed to get out of here. He needed to go fast. Sorry, girls, he said, breaking their attention from each other. I kind of forgot that I promised to have lunch with Jiraiya-sensei. He lied with skill. Jiraiya said he wanted to congratulate me for being able to pass the genin exam yesterday. Could I come? Asked a hopeful Hinata with a blush. No can do, Jiraiya is only expecting me. He doesn't like things go unplanned. If you come, Hinata, I am sure Jiraiya would start looking at your body, though, the dark shinobi with a sigh. Sorry, I'll have lunch or dinner with you guys next time, okay? Both girls looked disappointed but cheered up when the boy gave them both a soft kiss on the cheek. Obviously, the girls blushed deeply. With that taken care of, the Death Knight waved a goodbye and ran out of the memorial grounds as quick as his legs could carry him. Soon, he teleported away using his cunning ability, Blink. As the girls watched him leave, they knew Naruto was lying. He left because the situation became too much for him. Naruto-kun would have had a great time if he went with me, thought Hinata. And it's all Sakura-san's fault. She then glared at Sakura, who was in deep thought as well. Hinata-san, said Sakura in her mind. How dare you interfere with my love life? I won't lose to you. After that thought, she also flashed a stare at the heiress, who was glaring at her already. You do know he's gone because of you, right? Asked Hinata bitterly. My fault now? Sakura returned the question. Whose fault is it for pressuring him? When did I do that? You were the one who pulled him when I already claimed his hand. Because I claimed him first. Forehead girl. Pupilless eyes. The two fired death glares again before they pouted and walked different directions towards their home. Little did they know the Death Knight was in the trees listening to them closely. He didn't have the heart to leave just yet. What am I going to do now? He thought as he covered his face with his hands until nightfall. For once in his life, he wanted to run away, not thinking such troubles. He cared a lot about Hinata, of course, but he couldn't do anything that could possibly hurt Sakura now. Naruto shook those thoughts out of his mind, however his conscience failed to agree with him. Whenever a smiling Hinata or Sakura appeared in his vision, a sense of pain seemed to sear through his heart. He cursed himself for being so soft all of a sudden, but this was a time to allow his genuine self to take action. Yet, he just felt so lost. What if Naruto and Hinata hide their strength? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.